Word up, yo. Word up, all. How's all everyone doing out there in the void? All that's done. So, how y'all doing? How's everyone? You might have noticed I have someone with me today. We have Jimmy Tux.
Exotic.
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on, Shaken Fist.
Erotic.
So we can make fun of Braxton Hunter.
We've all made mistakes. I know I have.
Yo, word up, all. How's all everyone doing out there in the void? All that's done. So, how y'all doing? How's everyone? You might have noticed I have someone with me today. We have Jimmy Tux.
Exotic.
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on, Shaken Fist.
Erotic.
So we can make fun of Braxton Hunter.
We've all made mistakes. I know I have.
Moreover, I've never ever been an atheist, and I'm completely aware this is going to sound smug, even though I don't mean it that way. But the reality is, I think I understand the arguments for and defenses of atheist positions better than most atheists I know.
You know, I'm not a sciencey guy.
12 seconds later.
And I'm probably older than you are. So ease up there, Ace. Everyone's tempted to think they're an expert.
I'm sorry you look smug, and perhaps I come across smug sometimes. I actually think that, and it won't be true of this video perhaps, but I'm thought of as a kind of a friendly non-atheist, like Christian out there.
And so you say, it wasn't the leading philosophers and physicists who brushed off the evidence for Christianity. It was the uninformed students. Internet trolls make up the majority of atheist scoffers. All these atheists out there, they're all just trolls. You know, they're all just internet trolls. They don't have any, basis in physics or anything like that to go off of. It's just trolls. Do you like being a troll, Jim?
I don't consider myself a troll. I just consider myself asking for the evidence. That's what I'm asking for. And we'll see in my conclusion that I believe that evidence should be visible from a real God.
And then the second thing is, there is a real desire to who cares what he's saying? Let's peel it back and look for what he's trying to do underneath, because he's definitely a grifter who's looking to do something deceptive underneath the layers. And so we got to forget what he's saying and get to that, which becomes most of what these streams are.
Called mumbo jumbo to make you think along the lines he wants you to think, because he's literally priming you. He even says in his explanation of what you're doing, you're literally using these to prime people. I'd say it's one of the fascinating things about this book. It's very clear in how much.
Yes, exactly right.
He's actually trying to bend your mind as he's talking to you. It's great stuff.
But as you can see, Braxton, in a clip that I'd sent you previously, has plenty of people who believe that the evidence is very clear and I should just accept that. So I'm going to poke that apart.
Well, I've got that clip there for when we get to when it's needed.
Yeah.
I look. Oh, sorry. Let me change. I'm moving my mic a bit. Sorry. I'm going to have to do this occasionally because of my back. So I learned quickly that while the most knowledgeable specialists in the relevant fields are not all necessarily believers, most of them take the evidence seriously and enjoy engaging in honest discussions about it. Do you know what? I find a lot of atheists on YouTube like that as well, but the problem is that Christians are inherently disingenuous, and they think that if they use the same argument at you like 15 times, eventually you're going to mess up something you say, or you're not going to know one of the points that they bring up specifically. So that means it's God. Do you know what I mean? And you can't really have an honest discussion with these people because they don't want an honest discussion. They want to talk to you under the guise of an honest discussion, so they can lie to you and they can try and bamboozle you with the stuff they learn from books like this. This whole book is about teaching people a method and a script to confuse people into believing what they want. You know what I mean?
Well, I do believe that Braxton is probably sincere about his belief. I don't believe he's purposely attempting to be a grifter. He believes this, and he himself has possibly been deceived and doesn't realize that he is creating and perpetuating the deception that got him deceived in the first place.
I'm not sure though.
That's my perspective from
See,
it.
the thing is
I'm
would
not
have
sure. I'm
agreed
never
with-
sure. Even Kenneth Copeland, who I would put at the number one spot of being the confirmed deceiver
Yeah.
and not the deceived. I would put him as number one, and I'm still not sure with him.
Well, see, like I would have said that. No, I think Braxton's a true believer, but I know he's very snarky. He's very up his own ass. He's got this like he's kind of got like this like Hispanic woman sass air to him. Do you not think? Do you know what I mean?
Explain it to this man, please. First, you do the head, then you do the finger, then you talk through the nose.
I think I know what you mean.
It's like he's got a head wobble. He likes to wobble his head. He likes to look down his nose at you, and he likes to go. You know what I mean? It's like I think he enjoys being snarky too much for me to believe that he's being genuine about how you should argue and stuff like that. And I think some of it's starting to come from reading this book when he's actually talking about why you should believe these things and why you should and the reasons he gives. It's like, oh, you've got nothing, and you know you've got nothing, so bluster is all you have. So if you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I have a little clip here because he's like, hey, by the way, why don't you have an open mind? You should have an open mind. You, atheist, you have an open mind. You know what I mean? You like that? I like that sort of thing.
When will I walk away? For me, when I'm so diseased or my brain so deteriorated that I'm no longer myself in my rational mind.
First, you do the head.
Listen to me. We're not going anywhere. And if you came to Christ, partly because God used Trinity Radio,
He likes to wobble his head. He likes to look down his nose at you, and he likes to go,
or my ministry apart from Trinity Radio, hear me loud and clear. I've said plenty about the ways in which I'm open and my views are falsifiable. But I want everyone who calls himself or herself a committed Christian
Then you do the finger.
to consider this deeply. I'm not ashamed to tell you that I will always be Christian.
Then you talk through the nose.
What meaning does it have to say I have bent the knee to the king if I may go AWOL in the midst of the chaos? I've said plenty about the ways in which I'm open and my views are falsifiable. I have bent the knee, and I will not defect. In our tribe at Trinity, loyalty means quite a bit. And we aren't just loyal to each other. We're loyal to each other because we found a reliable master. We're in the kingdom, and we're proud citizens of it. I belong to Jesus Christ.
He likes to wobble his head. He likes to look down his nose at you. I think he enjoys being snarky too much for me to believe that he's being genuine.
He is my Lord, and I will never surrender. I've said plenty about the ways in which I'm open and my views are falsifiable. He is my Lord, and I will never surrender.
If somewhere within the Bible I were to find a passage that said 2 plus 2 equals 5, I wouldn't question what I'm reading in the Bible. I would believe it, accept it as true, and then do my best to work it out and to understand it.
So that's cool, right?
That is perfect. I think when I read that, I immediately thought of that clip.
Yeah.
And said,
And like, this is
it's
how.
a long fly ball. It could be. It is. Holy cow!
Yeah. And this is the heart of how these people are disingenuous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
I
these
concur.
fuckers will say to you with one side of the mouth, hey, unbeliever, do what I say, and maybe you might be persuaded for me. And on the other side, they're like, no, fuck him. It doesn't even says, man, you might be able to falsify it, but it doesn't matter. I'll be a Christian all the fucking way, right? And that's how these people convince people. You know what I mean? Because
I know what you mean.
they expect every single one of us to give an inch to everything they fucking say. Because once upon a time, everybody had to bend the knee or they'd torture you to death. You know what I mean? So they go, hey, I know we used to persecute everyone and we kind of want to do that again, but we're also persecuted. But could you argue the way that we want? Could you have the motions that we want you to have? Do you know, like, everything about them is trying to make you do what they want because they're so insecure in themselves that they have to have everyone else do as they do. Otherwise, they'll feel out of sorts. You know what I mean? It's fucking ridiculous.
What I want you to notice here is we're going to talk about evolution here. And this guy seems really, really bothered that there's got to be some reason why I don't want to include a discussion about the whole creation versus evolution thing. There's got to be, he even says somewhere like, it's driving me something like, I'm not quoting him directly, but it's like, it's driving me crazy that I can't figure out why he doesn't want to do it, because he's got to have some grifting, deceptive thing underneath instead of exactly what I plainly explain about why I'm doing this.
I think he enjoys being snarky too much for me to believe that he's being genuine about how you should argue and stuff like that. And I think some of it's starting to come from reading this book.
So what sort of evidence, if any, would be enough to convince you? Do you know? And since it's often a conversation stopper, let's take experimental reproducibility off the table, since that's not even always necessary for science.
Tell me what that is. It just feels like I'm being dumb and missing something simple, like a little simple connection.
Yeah, see, here he's going on. He's like, there's got to be some reason he doesn't want to talk about, some shifty, insidious reason. He doesn't say that, but that's what he's implying. There's got to be some deceptive reason he's doing this. It's like, seriously? Okay.
So the reason for this is that the argument from design focuses on more than just biological life. The complexity and specificity of created objects of the universe, including the life of the permitting aspects of it, demand the design conclusion. See, maybe this is the bit I was missing, okay? I didn't. Where is it? So the thing is, right, so why is it demand the demand? See, the complexity and specificity of the created objects of the universe, including the life permitting aspects of it, they demand that design conclusion. Because, hey, I'm a Christian, so it must be a Christian thing, right? Such aspects of the created order are somewhat outside the purview of the evolution of biological life on Earth. I like how he's once again muddying the water before he propagates it. The created order, look, it's all created. The order is created. I don't have to explain it because I've already primed you by saying these things 2-3 times before I even get to what the fuck I'm talking about. And it's like, well, but biology isn't chemistry, and chemistry isn't physics, is it? So why would you want to talk about, biological evolution, considering that has physical and fucking like chemical, like as in chemistry, properties? Why would you want to talk about that when you're talking about order?
It became clear to me that
sorry, go on.
There needed to be an evangelicalistic training resource that made the classical case for the truth of the Christian message understandable and easy to remember. So
do you love the fact that they're like, hey, we've only just, I know it's like, just a sec, let me get the thing up again. I've clicked it off by accident. So when he said it, so that quote's from like 2012, right? And it's like, what? These fuckers only realized that, like, what, 10, 15 years ago, that atheists don't actually believe in heaven and hell automatically? It's like a revelation to them. What? The whole time they've been saying they don't believe, they actually don't believe. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
that's a great point.
It's like they're astonished that we were telling what we thought the whole fucking time.
But
because
I'm still going to get quoted probably by Braxton if I were talking to him directly about some variation of...
Sorry, you cut out at the end there.
There's probably some variation of Romans 1 that will be quoted to me by Braxton if I were actually talking to him or having a discussion.
So, word up, yo. This is actually us now. I started that as a little intro, and that turned into a big thing. So, hello, everyone. I'm Zach. This is the Shaken Fist. Like, subscribe, do the things. This is Jimmy Tux. Why you do the same for him? How you doing, Jimmy?
Hi, Zach. I guess we're not just famous, we're infamous.
Yes, we're internet famous now. We were talked about by Daddy on high, and he has told us off. Do you feel scolded and chided? I certainly feel scolded and chided.
I feel comfortably numb.
So like we're gonna meet because it only had Braxton only talked about us yesterday. So we're gonna talk about it further in depth next week. We're gonna give some initial thoughts and stuff like that. So what did you think of Braxton trying to tell us off?
I would like to apologize in advance that my internet is suspect today, so I might
True,
drop
I forgot
out.
to mention. Go on.
So if I can, I watched it. I got Zach. I got highly complimented, if I'm not mistaken.
He did. He washed your balls a lot, didn't he?
He loved me. He absolutely loves me.
Oh my god! 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 He knows who we are! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! He got very flustered by me being in the chat.
I was with a client and I got your email notification. I clicked on the link. I saw it, and I kind of just made the comment and then paused it, and then I watched it after I was done with that client. So I got to watch it once yesterday, later in the day.
But yeah, he really didn't seem to like me in the chat, did he? Because like he kept on like going, "This is the chat, sir. This is about me. This is not," and it was fun.
I thought he was referring to. It sounded like maybe he was having a little spat with Mike Beverly.
There was a spell of that. You see, he wouldn't mention me by name. The bit where like he's like, "Oh, I'm nice and won't let me talk to me." That was from Beverly. But like when he's like, "People in the chat are saying cyclic universe," that was me. Like I was defending the things I was saying, and he mentioned some of them, but he did not mention a lot of them. So I thought I should point out because he was very forceful about a few points, and along the way, he presented a couple videos saying he says this thing all the time, didn't he? So I thought that maybe I should present all the bits that he didn't do because I should have read all. You and me, we should have read all these extra books and we should have watched his entire backlog, shouldn't we? You know what I mean? So I thought I should put in some of the things from the 2 videos that he tried to portray as one video. Did you notice that?
Do you really want to pack it in, move to the States, let's go to seminary, let's get ourselves an apologist degree, and then we'll be on his side. Then and only
then. But did you notice how he tried to play 2 videos as one?
No.
Yeah?
I didn't.
So he starts off with our first video and then ends with the last video.
Oh. Well,
so when we're talking about evolution at the end...
He did mention it was a playlist multiple times.
Yeah, he did mention it was a playlist. I suppose there is that. Also,
I'm willing to give Braxton the benefit of the doubt that he sincerely believes this. I do believe he is deceived, however.
Oh, well, like I said, I think he's a true believer. I know he said that, I called him a grifter a bunch, and I called Christians grifters, and if he takes that personally, then I think that says more about him. But the point is like, I even said very early on, I don't think he is. I think he thinks he's better than everyone, and like he likes to fuck with people because of it. You know what I mean? So I find his arguments disingenuous because of that point. I said it, and he could have watched the whole thing, because he didn't watch the whole thing. He tried to make out that we were skipping around his book.
Yeah.
Even though the only bit we did that in was the introduction.
Because how many hours have we made so far on intro chapter 1 and portion of chapter 2? We're up to like 8 hours. 8 hours.
Yeah, roundabout.
So it's comprehensible that he just skimmed. Got the cliff notes from one of his assistants.
No one told me.
Yeah. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt there.
About what? Sorry?
Did my internet cut out just now?
No, I was smoking a pipe.
Oh, got it. I'm willing to give Braxton the benefit of the doubt that he had an assistant do this. This forum gave him a cliff notes.
I don't, because he was angry. He was very angry. I think he watched it. He was trying to insinuate insults that I said that he didn't put on in the slightest. Do you know what I mean? I think he watched more of it than he put on. I definitely think he watched at least all of one of them. He was incensed, and I think it was the first one because it was the one he spent the most time on.
Ah. Well, I spent the most time on the first one because that's when I made the first video, and I haven't made a second one to follow up. But I did make some screenshots that I might share today But since you made that lovely intro, maybe we should save that. I will save that, reserve that for when we finish chapter 2.
Yeah, fair enough. Did you also like how he didn't refute anything we said about refuting his points?
Oh no,
He didn't.
It's not really his job to do that.
Well, it
he
is when
wants
you
to
make a
defend-
video that says that we've destroyed his points, and he's like, these guys say they debunked me, and I'm gonna like show them they're wrong. I've got receipts, and it's like you didn't actually mention any of the bits of us talking about your actual arguments and why they work and your logic. He spent a lot of time bitching about us talking about evolution because he didn't want to. He either didn't see or didn't want to admit to seeing the bit where I'm like, well, the point of talking about evolution in this is because if we're talking about order, then we have to talk about evolution at a physics level, like and a chemistry level, which is more than biology and it is more than you're talking about. Because if they arrange in that way, you have to talk about it because it's part of the order. He spent a lot of time on that, and which wasn't any part of any of the fucking debate things properly. I think he spent a lot of time talking about what was it? Because we said, oh look, he said that these don't point towards his religion at all. That's another bit I've clipped up that I've not. I didn't actually export. Because he kept on. Because he was like, oh, it says right there. It's a two-pronged attack, and it's like, yeah, but the point is even the 3 clips he plays to prove his point, how he's talked about it all the time. He is not saying that these arguments don't point towards his God. They say it's an argument towards God and then Jesus, right? And when you're talking philosophically, something like the difference between God and then Jesus and then a God and then Jesus is actually very distinct. And he's acting like I've been completely open and honest about this, and we're not supposed to like see like I said in another part of the video, like if a Christian's making the argument, right, the other person doesn't know that this cosmological argument, the teleological argument or whatever, don't point to your God, right? You might not know, that they don't. And you're making the argument to them. So to them, you're making the argument for Yahweh. And that's why it matters.
When Braxton, if you do end up watching this, I would just like to point out that deception exists in your holy book. I am only pointing out that deception. And I'm putting a magnifying glass on that deception. When instead of refuting that the deception was taken care of by the good guys in your book, and you definitely made a verifiable alibi that the bad guys, who are supernatural beings, the false teachers, the false prophets, the ravenous wolves in sheep's clothing, once you have consolidated an alibi that the bad guys didn't do it, the good guys were the only ones that did, then I and only I will be able to come to Christianity, because you didn't address any of those types of things. You have come to us with an argument about the cosmos, about design, and we're only 2 chapters in with an introduction. That is the only thing I care about. If you want to tell me I'm wicked for asking for an alibi that the bad guys didn't do it, because there were plenty of bad guys around in the 1st century who could have, in the 2nd century who could have, in the 3rd and 4th century who could have, in the 5th and 6th century who could have. I don't have any control over those things, and you should already have the answer for them. I appreciate the floor. I yield my time back to you, Zach.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, yeah. If if you could prove the resurrection, it would make all of that pointless. But he does say in all these videos, you can do. And in one of them, he actually goes on about, these people are going to be primed because they're already thinking about the resurrection being true. So this is just adding on to it. Because this whole thing is, we didn't understand that it was a 2-pronged attack when my whole point wasn't about it being a 2-pronged attack. But when it's easy to make it seem a different way, because the only distinction is the literal letter A, which makes a complete change to the sentence. But yeah, I was kind of shocked to see him seeing him try to say something against us, because I was like, oh wow, I just clicked on YouTube to like check shit, and then somebody was live talking about me. I was like, fucking hell.
Really? Did you have an RSS?
No, I literally was just clicking on to see the views on like on fucking the Sunday stream I did with Joe, watching Bible Beats. That it was just happenstance.
Oh, how about that? Well, I got it. Got to watch it. I feel like it's out there, and I'm going to enjoy being done with arguments when I'm really not interested in arguments. I'm interested in facts that should already be entered into evidence.
Yeah.
I'm interested in Jesus having already written his own word instead of somebody else writing it for him. I'm interested in God writing his own word instead of somebody says, God says. I'm interested in at least one of the apostles telling us exactly what they did with Jesus and what Jesus did and said with them. I'm interested in James, the brother of Jesus, stating emphatically, wow, I got to grow up with God, and it would be amazing that I had lost him. I couldn't believe I had lost him. I didn't know what to do, and then he was back. But we don't have that. I'm interested in Paul/Saul actually meeting Jesus and telling us exactly what he did with it instead of whatever is going on in his hibernated brain. That's what I am going to need and require to no longer be an atheist.
Yeah, well, it was like we pointed out, all these bits are just priming anyway. That's the whole point. He even admits the whole bit is just priming because it's to make it easier to believe in Jesus. Because Jesus is a hard sell on its own if you're not like already primed with this other shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yep, I know.
I'll make one more point. He said, "Oh, you can't be, you're robbing me book or whatever, and you're putting it on there." And it's like, do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to read it on YouTube. I don't give a shit, right? But also, the funny thing is, do you know where I got the book? Do you know where I got it from? I got it from
you said you had downloaded from like advent.com or something like that.
No, it was his actual. I looked into it, right? I looked again after he was complaining about it. I went back to the thing. It's his Trinity College.
Oh.
I got it from his website.
Oh. Well, talk about the fox in the penthouse, huh?
Yeah, and just in case, I told him, I left him a message on the video and said, this is where I got it from. It's your site. If you're not supposed to get it from here, you should do something about that. The comment isn't there anymore, so he's definitely seen it.
Yeah, my comment is also been made invisible.
Has it?
Yes. Now, I didn't make
even
a
if
direct
you click
comment.
New,
I replied to the pinned.
Even if you click new video,
I'll see it.
Comment.
I can see it if it's new video. So it may not have been Braxton that blocked it, but
YouTube's weird with that. It does it on all my videos. It like so many comments get obscured unless you put like new comments because it's like it's not popular. It's like, how the fuck is it not popular? I've commented on the fucking thing. I've liked the fucking thing. I've favorited the fucking thing, and it's still hiding it from everyone. So I don't know.
I don't understand it either. I have sent feedback multiple times, and I either stop subscribing and stop using YouTube, or I put up with it. And I don't have a big desk at YouTube and Alphabet to make those kind of decisions yet. The day shall come. It shall be mine. I tell you.
So, do you have anything else you want to say about yesterday?
Nah, who the fuck cares about the rest of O?
That's just just doing Johnny YouTube things because it's Johnny YouTube things. People care. Don't know why, but people would say stuff unless you go rah for some reason or another. But yeah, it's all the wrong stuff.
And I still, by the way, love the thumbnail for everything.
Yeah, well, he was awful angry, so I thought I should show how contrite we were going to be, and how afraid we were of, the things that he has to say about the way we figure out stuff or whatever bullshit, Whatever floats his boat. He seems to be a person that needs that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So we are on O. O is for was it teleological this time? Was it because it was O for T?
order. O was for order.
Or is for order, yes. Yes. Yeah. So we were on to I should make this smaller so I can see stuff. Oh. Damn. I think we need to take notice. BS has announced himself.
Announcements.
Oh. John thinks we should all take a seat in reverence for whatever Mr. Lewis is going to say.
All right. Let's see it, Mr. Lewis. Braxton's multiverse objection requires a reality to avoid infinite regress, which I assume would be an infinite reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I've never been a fan of the multiverse. I think there's too many weird versions that only exist because of math.
Yeah. I could care less about the multiverse. But there are instances in which I feel like I have jumped multiverses in that the lexicon changed from yesterday to today in almost an instant. And I don't understand how that happens.
Well, that's also edge. You go, what? The youths are doing things. You find yourself saying things like that. You go,
Yeah.
what are these youths saying nowadays?
Yeah.
Skibbity, 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 and such. And you go, I'm old now. Or at least that's what happened to me. I don't know. Yeah, contingency arguments are dumb. I find most arguments are dumb because if you need an argument, it means you don't have proof. So you need to try and convince somebody with other things. That's the way I look at it. I'll pull this back up. So we were on. Oh, that's why he brought up infinite realities, because he was reading what we was doing better than I was. Right. So
one ear out the other.
I'm just fucking. My head's been everywhere the past few days, anyway. So further objections. So, what if there were other numerous universes? Because we're on to objections. Such a challenge appeals to the possibility that a universe came to be life-permitting by sheer chance. I mean, no. You could still have multiverses that would, all have life in them. Life only comes about because of a set of reactions. You know what I mean? It just would take those circumstances to be met. Of this, Ed Harrison writes, the fine-tuning of the universe provides prima facie, that means at first glance, evidence of deistic design. Take a choice. Blind chance that requires multitudes of universes, or design that requires only one.
But the thing is couldn't the argument be faced with creation as well? He only invented one. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly in the observable universe that we're in, just from what I can see, not without any kind of tools, human-made tools.
Yeah.
There's a lot to take in when you're on a pollution-free light evening.
Yeah.
R for fine-tuning. Oh my goodness.
Well, we're just getting to the hard physics. But see, the thing is, it's like any form of universe, except for the one where a god creates it, could exist without a god creating it. That's the fun thing. It's the only thing it needs.
Just maybe there is a God-made multiverse universe that God actually wrote his own word of God. And we're just not lucky enough to be in that one.
What do you know? I'd be fucked. What would be fucked if, like, God? The reason that there's a set of multiverses is because God's more of a fucker than we thought, and he's like, right, I'm going to tell all. He's like an evil scientist. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm gonna create a universe, and I'm gonna create a bunch of universes, and each one I'm going to tell them a different thing, and just see what happens.
Well, let me put it this way. There is a there is a space game that I've played multiple versions of.
Yeah.
Multiple times. Like, I'll play one for 5 years. Several versions will come out. I'll only play like one of the versions. Let's say they came out with 2 versions a year.
Yeah.
And they're up to, I don't know, about 5 different versions. They're up to accounting in each of those versions somewhere around 10 to 14 in some relations. So there's roughly 60 to 70 versions of the same game with variation of rules, variation of buildings, variation of ships, variation of moons, those type of things. Each one is different in its own way. Sometimes they're fast, sometimes they're slow, regular speed. And one of them, they even made, I did a test on it for interactive, that you could control the battle. If the other person was a president, you could, somebody who was lower could really kick somebody who was higher's butt, because I was controlling the battle as a general type of commander, and the other person was absent. I could I could either maximize damage, or I could take out their best ships first, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
There was that type of universe within my life, within my gaming world. So it's possible the developers just make stuff.
Yeah, good. Well, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the multiverse theory anyway. So I'm just arguing.
No.
I'm just taking that position because that's what he's doing. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't see any evidence of it anywhere. And like, it's just fucking. I find so much of it, and even like my cyclic universe stuff, I did like so much of it is just hopeful thinking. Maybe it's like this. Maybe please it's like this in some way. I see people looking for some kind of multiverse, to be kind of the same as like religious, and in some sense. Well, it's better somewhere else, right? So it's maybe we could get there at some point. You know what I mean? Because then if you start saying there's a multiverse, well, then maybe you could break the universal barrier as such to go to the other ones. Like in the sci-fi movies. So if you could do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. Well, yeah, there is an element of, I remember when the tablet came out and there was a legal action against, I can't remember if Samsung was suing Apple, or Apple was suing Samsung, but it was brought up that there was a tablet in Star Trek 50 years ago. So it's not like this has been a surprise as a potential in the future.
Yeah.
Whoever stole the design from the other person, it was already in the lexicon, or it was already in the ethos in some form or another through science fiction, if I remember correctly. And tablets have been around so long, I don't remember which one was pissed off at the other for coming out with it.
No, fuck no. I'm not that kind of tech guy, so I wouldn't even possibly know.
And all right.
Nevertheless, the idea behind.
Nevertheless,
I was just gonna. I'll read up to the next bit.
Okay.
Nevertheless, the idea behind this objection is that the more universes exist, the greater probability that one individual universe would happen to be life permitting. It is referred to technically as a multiverse or universe world ensemble. It's one of the reasons I don't like the multiverse theory, because it sounds too much. Even the way he's putting it, I kind of agree. It's too much like the this is the great programmer in the sky.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
it's
how
all
different?
technological, right?
How
So
different is this argument? Is this presentation of a thought experiment any different than the Kalam cosmological argument? Like, it's just putting forth information for you to ponder.
Yeah,
but
but
it
that's
doesn't actually
but
provide
that's
anything of substance.
but that's kind of the point, though, isn't it? Is
It
to
is.
provide the same thing from a different way. Because if you make it look slightly different, if you look at it from the other way, it's just trying to throw as much shit at the wall until something makes someone get, because like even when he says, you're supposed to give these arguments and lead the thinker to it because they're supposed to do it for themselves, right? So that's the point. Is what did you not see it this way? But it's like when they ask you in surveys the same question but with different wordings. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's trying to see where you actually think about the thing, depending on your bias on the words. And I think the similarity in a lot of God arguments is that sort of thing. You go on
Want
now.
me to read?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. You stop at Universe World Ensemble.
Yeah.
Prominent,
No.
or is it life permitting?
No. Oh, yeah. It's the prominent biologist.
Yeah. Prominent biologist and atheist spokesperson Richard Dawkins. Is atheist spokesperson? Is that an accurate assessment? Like, I could care less about Richard Dawkins.
Yeah, but like that doesn't mean he isn't a spokesperson. He was literally called one of the four horsemen.
Four horsemen. Okay, got it.
Have you not heard of that?
I have.
Yeah.
I have.
But it's one of them. Spokesperson just means like they're speaking on your behalf. You might not like them or give a shit about what they're saying. But what?
Zach, are you my spokesperson for Braxton?
It's one of them. We are spokespersons for Braxton's book because we're going through it to other people. We don't have to agree with it. We're just putting it out there. Do you know what I mean?
Perfect. Things defined. Richard Dawkins has famously argued for this explanation. Nevertheless, despite Dawkins' rejection of this main criticism, the existence of multiple universes would result in a much more complex situation than currently exists. For this reason, Dawkins postulated a simple mechanism by which the complex universes were created. The oscillating universe is described by Dawkins as follows. Our time and space did indeed begin in our Big Bang, but this was just the latest in a long series of Big Bangs. Each one initiated by the big crunch that terminated the previous universe in this series. Nobody understands what goes on in singularities such as the Big Bang. So, it is conceivable that the laws of the constants are reset to new values each time. If Big Bang expansion, contraction, crunch cycles have been going on forever like a cosmic accordion, we have a serial rather than a parallel universe for the multiverse. Did you want to
see? The problem with this is that it's like I kind of get how he's trying to put across the cyclic / oscillating universe as like a multiverse theory, but definitionally, if you're saying the universe is everything that exists, right? Then the cyclic universe is always the same universe because it's always the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like a multiverse theory is more about different universes that can't interact with each other, made of different things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would like to counter this thought experiment with way Ricky Gervais states on Colbert's show about researching the stuff that we know now. If we lost all humanity and investigation of knowledge started to take place again, I don't believe that the Bible would have the same stories and the same reflections and the same wisdoms in it that it has now. But I believe we would come with fairly similar knowledge in seeking what is, not what might be. And we might have theories about what might be, but they're not usually seen as what is. You can base some of the calculations upon it. You can go and observe it and find new branches of observation required.
Yeah.
Wow, Zach, you cough funny.
Well, you know, sometimes I feel like a lady, and sometimes I don't.
Sometimes I'm in the multiverse where I'm.
See, the other thing is there's another version of the multiverse that he's not. I'm pretty sure he doesn't talk about. Where the multiverse could also be. So the Big Bang makes stuff, right? And then dark flow and dark energy push things out from, wherever, you know what I mean? Not everything was in this one spot anyway, but you get what I mean. So it all gets pushed out by dark flow and dark energy, which overrides gravity, right? But sometimes things start to move faster than the speed of light. And then when those bits of galaxies or galaxy superclusters move faster than the speed of light, they become unobservable by us and only observable by themselves. So they technically become their own multiverse. Like, the thing is there's so much different ways that the universe could be, and there's so many different ways the math points that the math can point, because we don't have all the variables. We don't know exactly what gravity is. We don't even know if the things that we have now are the way we think they are, right? And because of that, there's so many different ways that the math can take us, we have no idea of what it could actually be. There's experts on all sides that say, here's proof for this and proof against it, because all bits of math point away from everything. Do you know what I mean?
I think so. What do we got here?
Well, that's why they make up their own. They make up their own definitions, and they have their alternative facts, and they have their alternative everything. Do you know what I mean?
I think I know what you mean. Speaking of nationalists, Drew from Modified Skeptic had a really eye-opening video today about his experience on standing up, trying to perform his civic duty for legislation trying to be passed in Texas about the 10 Commandments.
I tried. I've not been able to watch anything for. To be honest, sometimes I find it hard to watch other creators just because I'm fucking busy doing other shit, and then I go, oh, shit. I'm supposed to watch other people's stuff as well.
Yeah, how do you expect me to be in my bubble if I don't, perform my bubble duties?
Well, right. The problem with this hypothesis is that cosmologists have strong reason to believe that if an oscillating model exists, universes would get larger with each new universe created. That would mean that as the history of the multiverse is traced backwards, the universes would become much smaller with each generation. In fact, astronomer Joseph Silk has determined that there can only have been 100 universes or less if this model is correct, which means that if the oscillating model, if true, would produce far too many universes to justify an order by chance. And it's like, I've tried watching, I've tried looking at the math of this, and I don't quite get it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. I've never looked into this. I could care less.
I looked into it because I was reading it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I've never heard this objection to it before. To be fair, I've also not looked a great deal into it. It's just, you know what I mean? But the thing that doesn't make sense to me. So if that's the case, then how is the universe creating more matter from the same amount? It tries to say that it's entropy, but entropy makes things less, not more. So I don't understand. If anything, wouldn't entropy mean that the oscillating universe would make the universes smaller, like as they went along, and not bigger? Because there would be less matter, because entropy would mean that things would, decay.
Would
But fuck knows.
yeah. Yeah, I honestly don't know. Not my monkey, not my circus.
It's a bit of my monkey and a bit of my circus. It's just I don't get this one. I might have not. I also might not have had enough time to look at it to like really let it sink in, because I've been dealing with other things the past week. But yeah, it's also worth addressing the resetting values of which Dawkins speaks. If even these values were reset, there must be underlying values that are constants. They themselves require explanation. Anthony Flew explains. Some have said that the laws of nature are simply accidental, are simply, ugh. Yeah, all right, Pippin, Jesus. I think you're biting something. That was horrible. Sorry if that hurt people's ears. I can't believe you guys didn't watch Mindshift poop on Braxton today. I didn't know. I was too busy watching me and Jimmy's videos and Braxton's video and cutting it apart to look at almost anything else today.
I did watch Brandon's video this morning and very much enjoyed it. Left my comment, liked and subscribed, like a good supporter.
I think the only thing I did was go on that Atheist Morning Show for about 5 minutes, and then went back to work doing stuff for this because he dropped it yesterday, so I had very little time to prepare anything. Anthony Flew explains. Do you want to carry on?
Anthony Flew explains. Some have said that the laws of nature are simply accidental results of the way that the universe cooled after the Big Bang. But, ellipsis. Very spacious ellipsis, I might add. Even such accidents.
Yeah, he puts big spaces into everything. He's got the double spaces between the lines. He's got the extra big margins. He's got all the headings, because he only averaged 200 to 300 words a page. So,
but very spacious ellipsis. Even such accidents can be regarded as secondary manifestations of deeper laws governing the ensemble of universes. Again, even the evolution of laws of nature and changes to the constants follow certain laws. We're still left with the question of how these deeper laws, and deepers in quotes, originated. No matter how far you push back the properties of the universe as somehow emergent, which is also in parentheses, their very emergence has to follow certain prior laws. Such multiverse or not, we still have to come to the terms that the origin of these laws of nature, and only the viable explanation here is the divine mind. And then there's a footnote there. Though Flew is not specifically referring to an oscillating model, his claims regarding the emergence of new laws is applicable. Something constant determines the laws of new universes, and those constants require an origin themselves. So you've got this highlighted in notes.
Yeah, sorry, I was just reacting to something in the chat. It's like, I spelled the fucking title wrong.
Oh, this is why we never have nice things, Zach. Oh, come on.
Yeah, I thought.
Don't worry, I misspell your name like all the time.
It's all right. Yeah, but I shouldn't be misspelling the name of the fucking video. I'll fix that now. It's one of them. It was just kind of odd thingy, because it's like, yeah, it kind of is for both of them. But the thing, yes, you can apply your same Christian rules, to the other ones. They had to start somewhere. But the thing is I love how, universes in my cyclic model, or whatever, I say mine like I made it up, but you know what I mean, like in the cyclic model thing, or like that goes on forever, that's bad, and like God going on forever is okay because there's no time. So does it mean that God went on forever only because he was paused forever? It's just like God was on pause and frozen until he decided that the world, should be like, I don't, it's, I suppose my overall point, because I'm trying to change the title and I'm getting flustered, is why the fuck why the fuck is the rules always different for these fucking bastards, and why is it different for us? Why
That's a
why the
good
fuck
point.
do they get all these like gratifying things? Oh well, you know what, you can say that God is forever, and and we get all these things, but you know what, if you have some kind of naturalistic or not God version of these things, well, you can't have them because they don't make logical sense. Because I've said that God has mysterious ways. And since God has mysterious ways, right, that means that I can make up any rules that he can break. Because he works in mysterious ways, right?
It's a very good point. God seems to always be silent when it comes to the requirement for clarification, verification, and moving of the goalpost is therefore permitted. Because who's going to verify it? Who's
Yeah,
going
well,
to back
because,
it up?
it's okay if it's for God. God.
My book says.
Well, it's not just my book says, it's, well, the ends justify the means, right?
Yeah.
And we're imperfect people that can't live up to God's glorious standard. So if we ask for forgiveness and we did duplicitous things in the name of God, well, then it's okay and it's not really duplicity, right? And there it's changed. I can pay full attention again.
Oh, take the stars.
Right. So.
Is,
But then,
is
because
an
like,
Irish
again,
accent
I don't.
permitted on this live stream, by the way?
Say again?
Is the Irish accent permitted on this live stream, by the way?
Well, I've done a fair few Irish accents from time to time, so it's all right. You know what? Don't worry about it. There, all right. I'm a man of accents.
So the answer would be no, then, huh?
Yeah, I'm a man of accents. I don't give a flying fuck.
As you sing a country song to start off the show, proud to be American.
Well, I met Kick Scoggins down at a country bar, and he was singing to himself. No, was paying attention. I lost my accent moving over here, and I seem to have gained all the other ones. Do you know what though? I can't do my own accent. I can't do the main accent anymore. That's like the only I can't do a main accent, and I can barely do a New England accent.
Interesting.
Yeah. We've got a nice core moment. Are you excited by core moments?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
It gets you right where it's core.
It's got me right where right at my core.
Right in your
the
core.
Atheist is saying that the universe has happened over and over and over so many times that the chances of a universe being life permitting is more reasonable. The problem is that even if the universe has gone through cycles like this, it couldn't have happened enough times to increase the odds of any serious way.
But there's me thinking that the multiverse theory and the cyclic universe theory weren't trying to address order and stuff like that. They were just trying to posit different hypotheses about the nature of what the universe actually is, and not trying to beat Christian arguments, because these people have been in control for X amount of fucking centuries, right? So they've had everybody under the fucking thumb. So why aren't they thinking about us? Why aren't they thinking about us? And if you say anything about them, you see these fucking atheists. I can't believe that they mention God so much and think about him. If you don't think he's real, then do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. That's exactly right. That's ridiculous.
A second mechanism for the development of numerous universes, which has been defended by Dawkins, is a sort of evolutionary cosmology suggested by Lee Schmollen. Dawkins explains it thusly: daughter universes are born of parent universes, not in a fully fledged big crunch, but more like local, but more like locally in black holes. Smollen adds, a form of heredity, this fundamental constants of a daughter universe are slightly mutated versions of the constants of its parent. Those universes which have what it takes to survive and reproduce come to predominate in the multiverse. What it takes includes long enough to reproduce, but because the act of reproduction takes place in black holes, successful universes must have what it takes to make black holes. This ability entails various other properties. For example, the tendency of matter to condense into clouds and then stars is a prerequisite for making black holes. Stars also, are the precursors to the development of interesting chemistry and hence life. So Smolin suggests there have been Darwinian selections of universes in the multiverse directly favoring the evolution of black hole fecundity and indirectly favoring the production of life. Well, that was a fucking mouthful.
Wow.
And do
I'd
you know
just
what?
like
Do
to
you know what the
point
thing
out
is,
that
right?
this sounds like it's a compound evolution, EMC squared.
Yeah. I think I think sometimes people try too hard to overcome these things and wrap themselves in just as many fucking things to try and make stuff up just as they do. I would have said this about this particular bit until and because is this I think was this bit actually in well he says it was in God Delusion. But the thing is this is silly, right? But there was a paper published last month before, maybe a little bit earlier than that. It was definitely this year. I think it was either this year or last year. So he didn't know about it at the time of writing. They've taken someone's taking measurements from the James Webb Telescope from the very edges of the observable universe and gone, it's kind of weird. All the stuff over there kind of looks like we're in a black hole. So
that we're in a black hole.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's the thing. It's the fun thing about physics and quantum and metaphysics and all that stuff and astrophysics out there, because once you get to a certain level, I don't know, and they kind of go, don't know. That's why they have so many different versions of everything, and why they can't figure out why they can't make a grand unified theory of everything, which doesn't. Whereas what that means is a unified theory that works within the quantum realm, and I can't remember what it's called, but the one we're in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe it's just the physical realm, and they can't even figure that out. So,
okay. The difficulty with this claim is that physicists have determined, what's that pronunciation? Smolin. Smolin's theory is flawed. Stephen Hawking was once helpful with this sort of mechanism, but regretfully admitted there is no baby universe branching off, as I once thought. Yeah.
Okay.
In all honesty, I don't care.
Yeah. Neither do I. I'm just trying to. I'm trying to find things to say about this because I don't care about this.
Yeah, I just find none of this interesting for some reason. I know. There's a lot of folks out there, atheists out there, that this is their bread and butter. It's not mine.
I mean, I love this part of atheism. I just don't give a shit about this side of multiverse theory.
All right, core moment.
Oh, what? No. Oh, yeah, sorry. Nah.
This time, the atheists are saying that universes give birth to new universes. Maybe this would result in enough new universes to raise the odds of life, permitting one by chance. Nope. Even one of the most famous atheist thinkers, Hawking, admits that it doesn't work.
Right.
For these reasons, the multiverse hypothesis will not do as an adequate defense of chance as the means of which the universe became so well ordered for life. Furthermore, the obvious and apparent reason to reject such a hypothesis is that it is completely ad hoc. There is absolutely no evidence to suggest such a universe ensemble. Therefore, we may move forward to consider another objection. I see you've got some highlighting notes there.
Yeah, it's just, again, we're picking on things from outside the universe and outside our sphere of the universe and acting like we could know anything about it. And he has to put that on us in some way because it has to be for him and God, right? So if he can just hand wave it away, and this goes for a lot of things, and I know I'm making this point here, but it's where it bugged me. You know what I mean? He does a lot of just hand waving things away, just going, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. I don't find it convincing. So nah. And yeah, it's his book. I get that. I get that's part of the fucking point. But also, that is why I said in the first video, I find him more and more, disingenuous as he argues, because there's so many contradictions in his arguments about this shit. You know, when yeah, all right, Pippin.
I was just gonna say, Zach, you really play with you take your doggy squeaky toy time seriously, don't you?
Well, you know, when I go into a pet store and I'm buying a new squeaky toy for him, I like to give him a go, you know,
Yeah.
you got to see if it's any good for him, you know, and
Get
like
in there.
people are going to look at you weird, but I'm doing it for my dog, and and in fact, I'll look at you weird to go, why are you not doing it for yours?
Yeah. No. These are the multiverse imitations that we were looking for data.
But I just love how he can decide this bit here that you can look at, and which bits of science you can look at, and which bits of science you can't look at. And I find it even more interesting after his little to-do yesterday about us saying stuff about him in his crappy little book. That, like, I'm not a sciencey guy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's not a sciencey guy. But here, because he doesn't want to talk about evolution, and he's not a sciencey guy. But here he is, you know, expounding upon exactly why. Oh, you know, it's not the multiverse, and blah 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 blah. Because he's not a sciencey guy, but you know, I can philosophize about it, which means I'm not really going to use a lot of stats and evidence. I'm going to go, I've thought things about it. I've seen a couple people, and you know, they've said that, like, Dawkins is great for pointing at weird shit he said. Do you know what I mean? I used to like Dawkins back in the day because I was an atheist back then, right? I used to love Dawkins back in the day, and it was him and Hitchens. To be honest, then it was the only one I didn't really get along with. But I don't like philosophers that much. And then, like, Harris went off the deep end about a few different things, and then Dawkins just kept on saying weirder and weirder shit to try and back up some kind of naturalism just because he didn't have an answer, and I didn't like it.
The one profound thing about Christianity versus science, I find, is there is a whole lot of disingenuous dishonesty and some variation of finding facts that really only play to your cause.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times that, and here's the thing, I really didn't watch Dawkins that much. I remember watching a documentary when Bill Maher's Religion, and
Religulous.
about the same time Dawkins had a documentary about religion as well. And I watched both of those, and I wasn't impressed with really either one of them.
Yeah.
I've only watched both of them once. I will say this: Michael Palin had a documentary out about the same time about the Sierra. You know how many times I watched that?
Yeah.
3 or 4.
To be fair, I like the Religulous documentary.
I like it also, but I already knew at that time that there was something wrong with that Zeitgeist inference, the Zeitgeist references that all these gods had the similar. I had already researched that and knew it was bullshit, so it kind of left a taste in my mouth that something was off here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but nobody has to be right about everything. I more liked him just interviewing people.
It's It's
Like him interviewing
it's
that black.
true from a certain point of view, and I am not on board with that certain point of view. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing with Christians when they are trying to combat the AIG level of dishonesty, whether they're doing it intentionally or not. The level of dishonesty about Mary Schweitzer soft tissue is profoundly guilty of Christianity being dishonest. As a for instance. So and recently the movie Heretic, they kind of played down a little bit of the zeitgeist type of references to all of the many gods who already existed, but I mean, it's already too late. I loved that movie until about that time, and then it became a hacker slasher movie, which I couldn't care less about. But I have problems with a lot of this type of entertainment / food for thought / this style of projecting your weakness as your strength level of debate and argument.
Must love YouTube then.
I do love YouTube. I don't watch too many debates on YouTube's.
I used to watch them all. There was certain people I liked watching, but I don't watch many of them anymore.
I've done one debate, and that was with what's his name? Ultimated Judeo-Christian or something like that.
Yeah.
Have you heard of him? He's the one that thinks he's had sexual relations with God.
Damn.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard a few people say that, so.
This guy's a treat. He really is. Absolute treat.
Well, yeah. I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh, well. Carry on.
All right. Are we at the core moment?
No, we're at the anthropic principle.
Anthropic. Okay. Another objection to this design argument is that regardless of how the universe came to be so well ordered for life, the claim by humans that it appears to have been designed is just what we should expect based on an anthropic principle. In other words, if the universe were not life permitting, not one would be here to notice that it is not life permitting. Thus, any universe that is life permitting is, by definition, going to seem well ordered for life. Core moment. Excuse me. My apologies. I had dinner right before we got on.
See, but the thing is that, like, if a universe is formed in a different way and has different properties, that doesn't mean it is not life permitting. It just means that it might not be life permitting to the version of life that we have now. It does not stop it for any reason being, a different kind of life, being that it's in a different kind of universe. And considering we have zero nada evidence of another universe, then all the things that we talk about when we're talking about these sorts of things are just coming out from our heads because we have no proof of it. So we're just thinking about it and trying to find math, arguments, and shit to fit it. But we don't have any proof, just like we don't have any actual real idea of exactly what happened, just as the what's called the Big Bang happened, right? We don't have proof of it outside the universe. So if we don't have any of them, then all this stuff is just purely theoretical.
So this core moment is the problem Braxton is having with us.
Right.
I want to turn this around on him. What atheists want here is a universe only seems designed to you because you happen to be here. It doesn't sound like much of an argument, does it? And I want to spin this around. What you accused us of trying to smuggle in evolution in, you have now smuggled some variation of a evolutionary life into your atheist right here. And that's regretful. That's got to be regretful. An atheist just doesn't believe in God.
Yeah.
That's it. We don't care about universe. I don't care about universes. It might be an alternative reason to some atheists, but that's not why they're atheists many times.
I mean,
I am an atheist because I don't believe the word of God came from a creator being. I believe the word of God came from scam artists named humans who used the likeness of a tree, used the likeness of the sky, used the likeness of the moon, used the likeness of anything that was out in a celestial realm, that they would just use as TV. Like I'm using YouTube today. But they used it to scam people. And you're a victim of that scam. You're a victim of that deception, Braxton.
See, do you also have you noticed that in all the core moments, he never says these atheists?
Yeah. Well,
Because
that's because I think he's conflated some sort of cosmos designer with God.
yeah,
There could be a cosmos designer. I'm agnostic that there's a cosmos designer. I just am an atheist that the name of that cosmos designer is God. His God. Christian God. Christian, a precursor to Christianity, Jewish God.
That's not what I was talking about, though.
Oh, my apologies.
Or were you saying something new?
Silverback. that could have taken on 100 men. That's right.
Sorry, were you making a new point? Or were you responding to what I was saying? Did I just interrupt you?
No, I was referring to what atheists in this core moment is referring to.
Yeah.
And it's not me, the atheist. It seems to be this straw man atheist that he wants to imagine only believes in sciencey things.
I mean, there's a chance that he's fucking like trying to put the arguments to each individual one that's being made, but the constant painting of it's just always just atheists and not these atheists troubles me. But there you go. There are a couple comments that need to be made about this objection. First, that it does not deal with the O directly. It's more of a cop-out. Second, the anthropic principle is more of a description of the nature of reality than evidence against theism. Is it? I don't.
Huh. Well. Okay.
Finally, this sort of explanation never be accepted by thinkers in any uncontroversial area. What? I mean, yeah. It's the problem. Yeah. I'm not good on the anthropic principle. Oh yeah. So Guillermo Gonzalez and J. Wisely Richards describe an analogy of this problematic use of the anthropic principle. Imagine an American intelligence officer captured by the Nazi SS during World War II, who is sentenced to death by a firing squad. Because of this officer's importance, the SS assigned 50 of the Germany's finest sharpshooters to his execution. After lining him up against a wall, the sharpshooters take their positions 3 meters away. Upon firing, however, the officers discover that every single one of them has made a perfect outline of his body on the wall behind him. What would we think in the officer related in this situation? And then responded, I suppose I shouldn't be surprised to see this if the sharpshooters hadn't missed. I wouldn't be here to observe it. We would rightly wonder what he is doing in intelligence, since there is more reasonable explanations than there is for that. For some reason, the execution had been rigged. Perhaps the sharpshooters had been ordered to miss, or they had colluded on one another for some unknown reason. In short, the best explanation would be that the event was the product of intelligent design. Shrugging one's shoulders and concluding that its chance occurrence is just dense. Well, that was a lot.
Wow.
What have you got to say about that then?
I mean, it's a thought experiment. It's a really nice thought experiment. I don't see how it pertains to the designer, the fine. I don't understand how there is a God in related to that. If this is an insinuation that our designer clearly can perform miracles of weapons of war with weapons of war, it seems like God should have better practice with other things than that scenario.
See,
walls exist, guns exist, bullets exist. just implementing that God is the one that performed this outline, it seems like a good game for God then. What a game. Well
See,
done.
See, my problem with all these explanations and these like things they say, like these examples they use, is they go, "We're trying to show that there's a God that's infinite, it's out time and space, right? And it made everything the way it is because it's all ordered, right? But every explanation for any of these things always has to take place in the universe." And they go, "Yeah, see, look, isn't it ridiculous that all these bullets went outside the thing, right? But it's still inside the universe." And they go, "Well, it's unreasonable there, so there's something outside, and that's what it is." And we're trying to describe, you can't know the outside, but we're describing it this way, so it's totally that because we can understand it now, even though you totally can't understand it.
My
Do you get what I
favorite
mean?
World War II movie is Casablanca. There's a scene where the Germans ask Richard Blaine if he can imagine them in London. And his response is, "When you get there, ask me." And then they respond with a follow-up question, "Can you imagine us in New York?" And he says, "There's areas of New York I would advise you not to invade." So, nobody answers the actual question. And the best way to answer it is, when this scenario happens, ask me. If God really can put somebody up against the wall and make all shots missed, great. Congratulations. How come he can't verify his own book? Acknowledge, like I did with the video that I made at the conclusion of the cosmological argument, that just like I can show that somebody made a piece of art about the character Mark Baum, and the person who the story is based on verifies that he basically said that same thing. He didn't say exactly that, but he said pretty close to it.
Well, he said in that video yesterday, as long as he can just prove Jesus, the rest of it doesn't matter. It's all up to interpretation in one form or another. So if it, so basically what that means is if you take things from the Old Testament and they point to Jesus, then they're true. If you can find archaeological evidence of them and they don't point away from Jesus, then they're also true. And everything else is up to interpretation. And if there's something we find that goes against the Bible and it's true, well, then that bit of the Bible, well, that's not true. That's up to interpretation, and that's what the denominations fight about, and that's why you got to listen to people like him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, let's say the person who is the intelligence officer, all the shots missed, and we are now forced to be in love with this intelligence officer. And don't worry, not only do we need to be in love with this intelligence officer, but we need to hate the SS guy who ordered the sharpshooters in the first place. And that guy messes things up all the time, but we never see this intelligent guy come around and fix it. That's Jesus. Always warning us about the SS guys. But guess what? Hey, Mr. Blick. But Joe Blick. Yeah, you dumb son of a bitch.
So yeah, you asked a question. I was waiting for the answer, but yeah.
So yes, the parallel between Jesus and his capabilities of being put up against a cross and his ability to, I don't know, however many lashes he received, those didn't miss. Those are spot on, apparently, from the narrative. But what missed was death. Don't worry, he came back. Okay, great. Okay.
Well, as long as they say that's the way it is, and I'm sure in his facts he's going to have all the proof to back it up, and it's never going to be anything that we haven't heard before ever.
Oh my goodness, I can't wait for the facts. Bring on the facts.
So, what these authors are attempting to get across is the fact that the anthropic principle does not. What these authors are attempting to get across is the fact that the anthropic principle does not speak against the truth of theism. Thus, this objection fails as a compelling defense of the claim that the universe is finely tuned because of chance or physical necessity, With this, we may now move forward to discuss even more objections. Okay. I know we spoke I've not spoken a lot about reactions in the universe in this one. That was in the last one, but whatever. Do you want to start this one?
Yeah. Are there not many highly unlikely things that happen which are not the result of design? What this question seeks to demonstrate is that chance could result in a life-permitting universe, since there are many examples of highly unlikely events that are clearly the result of chance. After all, everything that happens is, in a certain sense, highly unlikely. I agree with this. This is a great analogy. When one considers the fact that the odds are against the birth of any one person on a planet Earth, I think I made this in the first video. In the first hour that we did.
Yeah.
Of all the random sperm cells and all the random eggs that could ever met, you were happy on highly unlikely result of the sperm and egg that joined. Is not this a highly unlikely yet random event? Now, I use the same analogy, but I just used the food that was consumed that usually ends up as crapped out in the toilet. The food nutrition that powers our bodies, most of it does not end up as a sperm or an egg. It ends up as shit. So the likelihood that it ended up as a sperm and an egg is highly unlikely, percentages. So I agree with this analogy wholeheartedly. I'm with you here. A similar example is given by Harvard graduate and a Florida National University professor of world religions, David Alvarez.
See, I don't. The thing is, I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% behind the fact that the sperm joining an egg is a highly unlikely event.
Correct. I would. So let's put a finer pin in that one. So it is not uncommon for sperms and eggs to come together.
Right, but I'm even
the unlikely event. It's an unlikely event that whatever food I ate today is going to become sperm.
Yeah, I'm going against more what he's saying.
Yeah. Because it's a far more likely event that anything I ate that was nutritious and delicious is going to end up as sperm. It's
far more unlikely that any photon that comes out of the sun is going to hit me than that. You know what I mean?
My mother produced about a 200 million to 1 ratio of egg versus shit. I don't know. 200 billion? I mean, keep going.
What I don't get is why is the universe, right, making, being created in some kind of quantum event, whatever, right? And then us existing and being able to talk about it. Why is that any more unlikely than God, aside from they have been around a while saying that God exists? I don't get why the chances are any different.
Yeah. Especially without that verifiable.
Yeah. Because
moment of.
Sorry, go on.
No, I just had to burp. It's about time to pay rent on my beer too.
Fair enough.
Let's see, where was I? He argued that the winner of the nationwide lottery might feel as though there must have been some design in his fortunate success. Moreover, there had to be a winner. And even though the chances of any single specific person winning were incredibly low, chance led to the incredible unlikely good fortune. However, this misses the point in a noteworthy way. When Christian defenders talk about fine-tuning for the universe, they are not merely referring to the unlikely complexity of the universe, they are referring to the specified complexity of the universe. I'm getting a ton of text from work right now. Hang on a second, I apologize.
Fair enough. I'll carry on.
The difference should be clear. When the cards are dealt in a poker game, every possible arrangement of cards is incredibly unlikely. In fact, they are all equally unlikely, and that's very true. Nevertheless, when a player is dealt a royal flush, they have received the most powerful hand in the game.
The thing is, right?
As long as it's the spade royal flush. The spade royal flush is the most powerful hand in the game. A spade royal flush versus a heart royal flush. A heart royal flush is a lesser royal flush.
Right.
Even though it's highly unlikely.
But Oh, what was I going to say? But the thing is, so I was just saying before, like, how does this not apply to the odds of God being the head of the universe? If all the like, so he said, every because there's 52 cards to deck, and then there's a really large number that any specific 5-card hand comes up or whatever, right? But the thing is so but they're all the same number because there's only 52 of them. There's 4 of each thing, right? Why is that any different for the universe existing in certain ways compared to God? Because, like I said, is it just because it's been grandfathered in, so it's more unthinkable that ours is true because we're coming up with it, and as we find new things in science and coming up with new explanations. So ours seems automatically less likely because it's newer. It's not got all of its ducks lined in a row because we haven't been arguing with each other for 2,000 years about the same two to 4 arguments.
I'm gonna go pay the rent on my beer.
Fair enough.
I'll be right back.
It has, but I had to smoke not too long ago, so it's fine. Sorry, there we go. So, yet when the same player, this represents specified complexity. Naturally, when this has happened by chance, yet when the same player receives the royal flush, other players have good reason to be suspicious. If he gets the royal flush more than once in the same game, or even in the same month, they may be justified in questioning his honesty in the game. I mean, this, like, I don't even know that much about poker. The problem with poker, right, is that there isn't just one poker game, right? And most of the time when you're playing poker, you don't just fucking get dealt your 5 cards or whatever it is, right? And that's it. And then you go, oh, I can't believe they got the royal flush twice, right? You go, oh, actually, I'd like to buy, I'll hand in these 2 cards and I'll take these, or you're playing Texas Hold'em and you only have 2 cards, right? And then everybody has the same cards in the middle. So the thing is even using poker as an analogy for this is fucking terrible because none of the poker games that are played except a firm 5-card draw, 5-card stud, fucking no buys, no nothing, right? You get what you dealt and you play from that. That's the only poker game where this analogy is going to work because the other one means you could buy shit and you could change cards. So it's actually more likely that you get things unless you're playing Texas Hold'em. And then it's less likely that you could be cheating because you have to be hooked up with the fucking guy dealing as well because he's laying out the cards for everyone else to use. But again, if we just make it sound a little bit complicated, they're talking about poker, and poker is all about odds, and people like doing really complicated numbers in their heads and counting cards, maybe of the cheating, or working out how people work and everything. So see, it makes sense, right? Because it's rare for you to get a royal flush, right? So if it's rare, perhaps he's cheating in more specific terms. It looks like he's had his hand was dealt by design. Yeah, because, it was designed that way. And the only person that can design it that way is the dealer. And you see, the dealer's like God. The specified complexity of the universe being life permitting is not just a matter of complexity like any weak arrangement of cards. I mean, I'm going to be frank. A weak arrangement of cards is not what you were saying in literally the last paragraph when you're like, yeah, this one's more better than this one, but they all have this, beg your pardon, they all have the same, odds for coming up. But now they're weaker. Because now we need to make it look like I don't know. The optics of how you write things and how it comes across to people, considering you writing it, is really what comes, what makes so many of these things be disingenuous. But hey, who cares about stuff like that, right? You could just clip around it and make it look like I don't know what I'm talking about. Rather, it is like getting the royal flush almost every time you play the game, is it? Okay. In the case of the lottery, everyone knows that one thing is certain: someone will win the game. If two adult humans of opposite sexes and healthy reproductive systems attempt to procreate, it is highly likely that they will ultimately succeed in joining some sperm cell with some egg. For this reason, these are poor analogies and the argument still stands. The problem is, though, is it isn't just going, well, is God real, right? Or did Jesus rise from the dead? It's like all the ancillary shit around it. So David, the Exodus, Genesis, as much as you don't want to give a shit about it because it goes against a lot of, I know it says that our God made the universe in 7 days, but that's just fundamentalist atheism. I know it says that, and, I know that it's supposed to be God's inspired word, and I know, well, people debated it, a long time ago. So it's still supposed to be God's word. And if he's talking about creation, hey, but it's a myth. Yeah. It's also taken from Mesopotamian myths, especially Genesis chapter 1, chapter 1, where it's basically taking bits of the Enuma Elish. But that doesn't come in to shitty arguments about philosophy, does it? Because that would be saying, actually, we can prove so many things about your early religion are false. But we're a different religion. No.
All right. Did you miss me?
Word up, yo. What about poorly designed things? We're on the next bit.
All right.
Because, so, what about poorly designed things? It is not uncommon for atheists to attack the idea of a designer by arguing there are a number of things in the universe that seem poorly designed. Whoa! Isn't a lot of those things come from evolution? Well, look at that wandering nerve. Why did God make that?
Let's classify the Bible as poorly designed.
Well, before we have to take evolution off the table, and then he got in a right tizzy when I said he was hiding something about it. Well, here's hiding thing number 2. One of the things that atheists attack is the bad design of biology. But, whatever, right? God made us, but he made the chimps he made the first cells, and then he made what they were going to turn into. But, but whatever. If there truly is a designer, then why would he create a universe with so many apparent problems? The claim is that this counts as evidence against the existence of God. The late atheist, or to use his term, anti-theist, which is one I use, Christopher Hitchens, put the objection thusly: other than the bodies, if of the other bodies in our solar system, the rest are either far too cold to support anything recognizable as life, or far too hot. The same, as it happens, is true of our own blue and rounded planetary home, where heat contends with cold to make large tracts of it useless wasteland, where we have come to learn that we live and have always lived on a climatic knife edge. I cannot read today. Yeah. Meanwhile, the sun is getting ready to explode and devour its independent planets like some jealous chief or tribal deity, some design. Well, what do you think of this objection then?
I mean, there's no promise of tomorrow. The point, I'm sure the point he's about to make, there's, I don't know. Let's, what stands as a design from a perspective of Christopher Hitchens, and whoever rabbi or preacher, apologist, interlocular debate opponent.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably a contrasting point to this argument that could have stuck as a sting for Braxton. I don't know. But to me, we live in a world right now where the four walls and the roof over my head, the four wheels I have, allows me to make a kind of living that would be nonsense 200 years ago.
Yeah.
But the reason we have what I have and is seen as normal is because of that progress. There's no reason for me to have this, the things that I have, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago.
Yeah.
I just had a precursor to what it is now. And I think if you see these little steps of humanity making progress, you can call that evolution. You don't need to call this some variation of the sun, moon, and stars evolution, or whatever he's going for here. So I can't wait for the next point. I've forgotten what it is, but I know this. Things are evolving, whether he likes it or not.
See, it's one of those. It's like, I see how Christians take, oh, well, the sun explodes. That means it's that's the rapture. It's like, that's not what it says in the Bible. In fact, I'll just let him say it, right? There are at least two responses that need to be made with respect to such an objection. Initially, it should be said that alleged examples of bad design are best discussed case by case. For examples like the issues of explosion of the sun are not problems for Christian theists. All Christians believe in some eschatological. Oh my God!
Eschatological.
Yeah, truths which involve
Estological.
Truths which involve the resurrection and glorification of the natural world at the end of time. But that's not what Jesus says, is it? Jesus doesn't say the sun is going to blow up and burn everything into a crisp. Sorry, it doesn't, because it's not even a supernova that'll kill us. It's the fact that the sun will turn into a red giant, and it will, its diameter will get bigger than past. I think Mars, maybe the asteroid belt, but I'm not 100% sure of that. I can't quite remember. Yeah. Right?
I mean,
Jesus doesn't say that. Jesus says,
the outside
I will be back within 30 years. I say to you, some of you standing before me will not die before my Father's kingdom has come back on earth. Because Jesus says that people are going to have a bodily resurrection on earth in God's new kingdom on earth, not the sun getting bigger.
So there is an observable progress, an evolution, if you will, of our sun. Whether or not I'm accurate or not, but I don't remember using sunscreen when I was a kid. I believe something has changed in my lifetime as to the radiation feel of the sun from when I was a kid. And I live about the same parallel as I did before.
Yeah.
But something has changed a bit from the intense radiation coming from our sun.
Yeah.
Now, let's go back to that little reference that I made about how much more likely it is that something my mother ate became poo instead of an egg. All right? This planet is filled with poo. Now, I don't know what the future for our sun is, but if you told me, yeah, one day this nitrogen ball of poo is going to somehow merge with the sun and it's going to make the sun grow, I would believe you. I don't know if that's true, but I do know with nitrogen explosions in my lifetime, there is evidence that nitrogen makes things go boom. And that liquefying of poo into a nitrogen nuclear fission ball.
Yeah.
It ain't going to be pretty.
I mean, it's going to be nothing.
Yeah, it's going to be nothing.
Well, because the sun is much bigger.
It's so much bigger. Yeah.
It's a fission reaction, and fission doesn't care about nitrogen.
But it's possible that our sun will grow if I understood what I remember from science class. Our sun could grow, and it could change how it's igniting itself or whatever the reactions it's doing, and it'll start preferring a different chemical compound that it is now, et cetera, et cetera. But hey, we might have one more day. We might have judgment tomorrow by this time noon.
You know, it's been coming for 2,000 years, so it's got to be any day now.
It's any NATO. I mean, I can only imagine the 1974 Jehovah's Witness, 1975 Jehovah's Witness claim of... I can only imagine that somewhere around 2033 that there's a similar... It's 2,000 years. Jesus said he was going to come on the 7th. He's going to rest on the 7th day, so he's going to come.
Yeah.
We'll have the Millerite great disappointment.
Well, we wouldn't have Mormons, so that'd be something.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm wrong time. My head went. He said he didn't say 1970s. He said 1770s. Sorry.
Yes, something.
That's how well my brain's working today. So, yeah. So, moreover, there are a number of claims like this that when fully examined, fail because the item seems poorly designed, turns out to be incredibly appropriate for its function. You know, it's just a bunch of shit, and this is just a blanket thing. Fuck them. I don't really want to talk about stuff. You know what I mean? He has one. He goes, look, I have one thing from Christopher Hitchens, right? So I can say something about that because I have to say something about Hitchens. I can't, I can't point out. Like, I'd say the worst part of the design is how there's, was it 14.3, 14.7?
I don't know.
Billion light years of stuff in every direction made for just us. And we can't even experience most of it.
Yeah.
So, how is that, like, well designed? What is the incredibly appropriate thing for its function there? I don't understand. What function does 14.7 billion light years of space and stuff in every direction? What function does that have?
I don't know. Zach, Jesus rose to the dead from you.
Ha! Do you know what? I'm listening.
He rose, he died for your sins. And somehow that 14... I don't even know. What we can observe with tools...
Yeah.
...is clearly not referencing that.
No.
The mansion in John 14 for you doesn't seem to have been found. Sorry.
Do you know what? We're nearing the end of this second chapter, right? So
we are. We're fairly close. I think we're like a page away.
No. We got about 6 or 7 more pages.
Conclusion is on page 50 of the
PDF.
but
then there's the leg. It ends on page 43.
And we're on 40. We're almost on 47. We're about to finish 47.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong numbers. I was looking at the actual page numbers. Yeah. We're not too far off.
We're not too far off. Yeah.
We might be able to put. Well, you said you could stay a bit longer today, didn't you?
I have. Yeah, the missus is flying out of town today, so I had dinner at 2:30, Chicago time.
Yeah, so we can power through and fucking.
So
probably
we can get to the
this.
end of this, and we could make a second go if we want to.
Yeah,
and
then we can quickly finish this book, and then maybe would you? I've been discussing with someone else the idea of reading. He has a couple fantasy books.
Never gotten into those.
Yeah, but it's Braxton Hunter writing fantasy books about bringing God back.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
So I'm very interested because it says it's full of action and romance. Don't you want to see a Braxton Hunter romance?
This reminds me of that line in Forrest Gump. Have you found God? Forrest, if you found God, I didn't know I was looking for him.
I think my favorite one for that was Terry Pratchett. Of course it would. I love Terry Pratchett. He's the writer of Discworld. Those that don't know, Terry Pratchett once said, "Do you know what? Everybody keeps on telling me that I have to find God, and I have to find God. And do you know what? I have had time finding my keys, and I have empirical evidence they exist. So
I must admit, there is going to be one day you're not going to get a key with your car. So
yeah.
Empirical keys may no longer exist.
Second, let's carry on. But I love that quote. He has a lot of good ones like that. I love Pratchett. Pratchett says all the best things. Second, if something is poorly designed, it is still designed. And we're not saying poorly designed is like what's it called? It's not. We're not actually saying that it's designed. We're using it in a mocking sense, saying your God poorly designed this. We don't actually think it was fucking designed.
Well, if I'm designed, I would say I'm poorly designed. I have dyslexia. Potentially high risk for heart disease, high risk for Crohn's disease, high risk for lung disease, high risk for skin disease.
Damn.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's a miracle. It must
Now,
be God's will that I'm alive.
Can I just? I'm just gonna make myself bigger. I just wanna ask you a question. Just a quick question.
Yeah.
You know, you say you're susceptible to all these things. Do you think it's because you haven't found God and you're being punished? Do you think that if you found God, that all these susceptibilities would go away and all these health problems and possibilities of a health problem would just disappear down the tubes because God would visit His graciousness upon you and stop you from getting all the things?
Yeah, I would have to say, here, I'm going to turn my camera on for this.
He's turning his camera on. Bam.
There we go. So, here's my question to you.
Okay.
If you feel that life will be better with that avenue, I encourage you to do it. If you really believe, because there is the power of positive thinking, there is a psychological advantage to believe something loves you, and in return, you love it. However, there is a danger to accepting that. And I believe it's been on full display, especially in any kind of money, Ponzi, romantic scam type events. And the most vulnerable people tend to be the ones who are sick, who could really use that healing that they're told by Andrew Womack, that you can just curse off the devil by praying, and he'll have nothing to do with you. And whatever it is that's making you sick is obviously caused by the devil.
Yes. That's just obvious.
There is an inherent harm, in my opinion, that a huckster that is peddling faith healing of some sort, if I were so sick that I had no choice but to hope and pray that I got better from the demon or the devil that is possessing me, because Andrew Womack says the devil and the demon shouldn't even be there, and as long as I pray it away, it'll be fine. And I give my check for the free pamphlet that he sent me, that as long as that check clears, then I'll have blessings and healings come available to me.
Yeah. So we're watching one Braxton Hunter, and we're supposed to be like, you know, believing what he says, because he goes, you know, you could just dismiss this now, you could dismiss this, and you could, you know, and, you know, just I have the right philosophical arguments, and he is a religious man. Yes. So
He is.
And that's another religious man selling his side of religion, right? And they're both saying that they're right. So why shouldn't we believe both of them?
Wasn't there a quote from Christopher Hitchens earlier that answers. I mean, Christopher Hitchens answers all, right?
I mean, I
Oh
wouldn't
no,
say
that
all,
was about the
but, you know,
solar system. Oh, never mind.
yeah, it was. Yeah, but the solar system answers all because the solar system's God.
Mm.
Or some bullshit.
Here's the thing. This is what I know for sure, and this is in my next video. This is almost a word for word quote. I can almost promise you, when I look at the trees and I spend months upon end around the trees, when I watch sunrises and I watch sunsets, when I watch the cascading shadows fall onto the mountains, when I bring to life the stars in the sky from a lack of noise pollution, and I see billions and billions of stars at night, I have never experienced deception. Not once. When I look at the trees, when I'm amongst the trees, when I look at the stars, the sun, the moon, zero deception. Deception occurs on the 3rd chapter of a book that has 1,189 chapters and isn't remedied. That deception is not remedied until the 1,187th chapter. That
What
is
chapter is that again?
immensely the 1,187th chapter. Deception is finally remedied.
Which chapter is that? I mean, like specific
Revelations
like
20.
Oh, right.
Genesis 3 through Revelations 20. There is deception always in contention between those two periods. 2 chapters before deception begins, 2 chapters after deception ends.
Yeah.
That is the opposite of what I experience when I'm amongst the trees and I'm amongst the stars, the sky, the moon, and the sun. There is a disconnect on whether or not something is poorly designed here. And I don't think it has anything to do with the cosmos or this earth or the sun or the trees. I think it has to do with the writings that are labeled as your creator's writings. There's my piece. Put a pin in it, Braxton.
And you know, but I thought deception was finished when it's in Psalms or whatever when God said, you know, trusted not your own understanding, trust in mine. So there can be no deceit and lies in His understanding. So as long as you abide by His understanding and not your own, well, then you're in the clear.
There you go. This is a graph. How does that look?
Look at this graph.
Look at this graph.
I'll make it big.
So notice.
Just say.
Notice.
No, just say. There you go. It's big
graph.
now.
This is when Genesis 3 begins, and this is when Revelations 21 begins. Notice it goes to 0. Now notice that 0 point didn't occur when Jesus was around. Where's the Jesus moment?
Blasphemer!
Oh, that's beautiful. That's perfect.
To be honest, I had timed that better, but I kept on clicking the wrong thing.
That's funny.
I've got to get better with these. I've got a bunch of them lined up. You know what I mean?
I bought a Stream Deck. I should totally load that into the Stream Deck. That's perfect.
But you know, there's all sorts of good ones.
Hey, Scotty.
Hey, Scotty.
Jesus, man.
Jesus, man.
Oh, you have to put it back up.
There you go. This is my cozy my
Everybody just assumes I'm an ass. I'm fine with this.
Yeah.
Well, I see you're the nice one. I'm the mean one. You're the good cop. I'm the bad cop.
Braxton, I would love for you to come over to the atheism side. Atheism is true because God is false.
I'm not sure I want him on that side.
And we're designed to fail at being atheists. It's just a profound fact. We don't care to be atheists. It's almost obscure. It's almost obscene to be an atheist because it's nonsensical to be a Christian. If you tell me I have to be a Christian,
Moreover,
don't
I've
provide
never
the
ever been an
evidence.
atheist, and I'm completely aware this is going to sound smug, even though I don't mean it that
It's
way.
smug.
But the reality is, I think I understand the
I don't
arguments
want
for
to
and
be an
defenses of
atheist.
atheist positions better than most atheists I know.
Do you think he understands that?
I don't want to be an atheist either, Braxton. You don't want me to be an atheist? I don't want to be an atheist. All you have to do is prove that your God actually exists, that he said and did the things that are contained within your holy book. That's it. That's all you got to do.
Do you know what? There was one bit of yesterday. He's like, "Do you want God to go?" You know, when he was talking about why Genesis shouldn't be taken seriously, he's like, "Do you want God to go back and tell not to go back? Do you want God to tell all these people living in tents and sheep herders or whatever back in the day? Do you want him to tell them quantum theory?" And I'm like, "Yeah, actually, I do.
Yeah.
That would be amazing." If you come up to me with a book that we could prove was written at least 2,000 years ago, and it's like, so quantum entanglement, right?
Yeah.
I'd go, do you know what? Cool. I'm
Yeah.
down. I'm in.
Yeah. What if?
I mean, I'd take a lot less than that, but if that was there, yeah, I'd take that. I'd hook, line, and sinker.
Imagine if you had one of those scooters, battery powered scooters. You were just zipping by the Roman roads, going 35 miles an hour.
Wow. You've been called out.
Imagine?
Sorry, what?
All ball. Yes. Thank you.
You've been called out.
Why?
Sorry, I got distracted by that. What did you say?
Just imagine having one of those scooters, those battery-powered scooters that you could charge up back in Roman times. You were flying along a Roman road at 35 miles an hour on one of those scooters. What would you be? And somebody would be like, "How did you?"
I suppose they were kind of smoother than that, but
Yeah, not those cobblestones that you call roads up there in Engleland.
They stopped trying up here. What can you say?
They had real graphite, good stuff.
It's all limestone. It's all crap. Britain's receding into the sea. It's great.
Yeah. How about we take a break here and I go do some doggy stuff, and if we feel like it, come back on in a few.
Well, I'll stay on because
You'll stay on. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, how long do you think you're gonna be?
Doggy some love. I tried to bring her down here and comfort her because she gets so depressed when the mommy leaves.
Yeah. Well, I'll do some crowd work, and then we can finish this up, and then we can move on.
All right. Sounds good.
So it's crowd work time. Hi, y'all, dude. Where you from? I've just come in here from another time. Isn't my arm's tired? Well, that's a crappy job. I can't believe you have that job. See, I could do the stand-ups. It's not as hard as it looks. You know what I mean? It's all right. I don't know. I can't wait to properly go through fucking. I'm a first timer. I got all the flood of my first apologist talked about me. It was my first time. I'm so happy. I'm a real boy now. I wonder if and at least I'm funny. I'm a funny guy. I make funny jokes, funny ha. And you do understand when he says that I'm funny, it also means that he understands the jokes I'm making and why I'm making them. So maybe it's a little bit more disingenuous when he says some of the things he's saying. But hey, who cares about stuff like that, right? Because he's so gregarious. It's fun. People make fun of me. I'm thick-skinned. Meanwhile, I'm not annoyed. I said to him at one point, I'd really got under your skin. I really twisted your nipples, didn't you? I'm sorry. Oh yeah, but and he's like, I'm not annoyed. I'm not annoyed. Okay, maybe I'm annoyed. And he's like, all right, well, of course you are. You made a video about it. That's what YouTube is, isn't it? If you make a video about something or someone, you're gonna make fun of a book or a video, you're gonna try and debunk them. most of the time it's coming from a place of some kind of derision, isn't it? If sometimes you're with there's a person you like, a person you like, and you're like, maybe you're a bit wrong about this. They're trying to be constructive, but constructive criticism isn't really almost what anyone ever does on YouTube, especially someone like, I don't know, like a Braxton Hunter. He's too smug to be nice. I don't know. I couldn't take any nice thing he said. Even if he was being the most genuine, if he talked at me like he does on YouTube, I couldn't take him seriously as being nice. He comes across as just so smug and unapproachable. All that. Because like I said, he reminds me of an old French teacher I had who, like, because he was a copper back before he became a teacher, and he'd do this at you, and he'd like look down his nose at you, and like, Braxton does that shit. Do you know what I mean? The only, like, although I was thinking before, I was like watching him, say, does he need glasses? Is that what that is? Is he not actually looking down his nose and he's just like, I need to read? I don't know. It's fucking, but I'm supposed to read his whole backstory and read all these, that's why he's in the thing. Why haven't you read all these books? Oh, sorry, I read yours. You picked the first edition and not the second edition. Sorry. Like, whatever. Okay. I just picked that one. What do you want? Should I have picked one of your fantasy books? Whatever. That video should be out tomorrow because I kind of want to be done with him. Aside from doing this, I had no plans on doing this. You know what I mean? I just wanted to do his shit. I just wanted to do his shitty questions videos because question videos are pretty easy to fucking, pump out, and because like, for animating stuff is hard and I don't want to. Damn, which bet I don't. So the problem is that you got, it probably makes 100% sense, but it's like 30 seconds behind, and you're like, I don't remember. But yeah, I just wanted to do some easy videos, and because like I was in pain, and I'm like, the question videos are easy. And then he got all snarky about reading Christian things. Are you reading my version of Scholars? Why aren't you reading my stuff? So then I decided to be a smart ass and read his. You know what I mean? Yes, there is all of them. Miss Bexington Smythe has Michelangelo. You see, I have Raphael because I'm an angry turtle. And Becky has Michelangelo because she's a party dude. Yeah. They came from some Tibetan wool hat thing from on eBay. Can't fucking remember. I've been obsessed with these fucking. I've been obsessed with it. I've worn like this. I've had this hat and one before. I've had these Turtles hats for like 10 years, and I wear them all the time because I'm a big Turtles boy. I've always been a big Turtles boy. Hello. Well, as long as the dead baby Jesus sent you, then we're crusty. We're cool. We're Bufu, baby. Oh, that reminded me because I make too many Gen X references. It's like, motherfucker, how old is this motherfucker? Braxton Hunter. How age? How is it? No way. What? Fair enough. I was not expecting that. Damn. I'm older than Braxton Hunter. I thought he was older than me. He looks. All right, cool. Is he? What? That says 39, though. I don't know. Anybody actually know how old he is? But he's dealing with his dog. I said that very derisively. Dealing with his fucking dog, and he doesn't want to see you. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, he said he was off fussing his dog and doing dog stuff. I don't know. Something like that. Or it's just an old Tibetan lady that likes knitting. Old enough to know better. Yeah. Well, it was just because you're making all these Gen X jokes, and it's like, I thought he was older than me. Well, that's it. That's the thing. My dog's been bothering me the whole time. That's why I keep on going. Yeah, so I have to throw the ball for her. Otherwise she starts barking at me and whining. Oh no! Why aren't you doing the thing? Do it now! Dogs are so much better than gods. Well, yes, that's why they're spelt better. That's why they're opposites. I don't know. What are they called? I can't remember what they're called. They're not the same thing backwards and forwards. I'm being stupid. My brain's being really bad today. Been fucking working all day, preparing the beginning of this shit, and fucking physio appointments and nah. It's just demonstrably false. Sorry. Cats are fine and cute, but you know, the mostly solitary animals, all the ones that we have, don't actually, they don't care properly. Some of them appear to, but they're very solitary animals. Also, and cats are great unless you keep them outdoors. Anyway, if you let them outdoors, then that's where it's bad. Cats commit genocides. I'm very much a dog guy. Dogs are great. I see. That's what makes them superior. I don't know. Having an animal that doesn't really give a shit about me and commits genocides if I let them outside really doesn't seem appealing. Cheers very much. Sweet. I have a. See, I also have I have an AI thing on my editor, like my where I can turn images into like little 15-second things as well. That's how I got the monkey pointing at stuff in the tester video about Kelvy. I don't know. Would do you think? Do you guys think it would benefit me if I made a little shitty clips channel and put some of these later bits of streams that other people never watch in? Because I don't know. It's also more effort. Everything's more effort. It's always more effort. Tell you what, though, in the coming weeks, I'm gonna start doing a Discworld book reading club. Definitely, because some, because I'm worth it. Some to all of you should love to read Discworld or listen if it's an audiobook, whatever. It's just the best parody. Oh, it's that bad. Yeah. This fucking thing sucks. It's a lot of books, but there's a lot of different shit in there. And to be honest, a lot of my humor comes from there, and some of the jokes I make specifically are from there. You don't like to read? Well, tough. Discworld's worth it. Oh, it's just it's so good on just commenting on things. It's like Carl and fucking. It's a fantasy format, but really, it's just a very angry man that wants to make fun of things by laughing at them because he's a very angry man, and I don't take any, inspiration / fucking, well, kinship at all. You know what I mean? Made game night recaps of animated vids. That would be cool. It'd be easier to do now, I think, as well. I used to. I had a game that went. I had a D&D game that went for 4 years. I think it was 3-4 years. Yeah, YouTube's fucking shit. But like my missus ended up getting roped into basically taking the notes for everyone because I started writing it as like a little fantasy novel because it ended up being a pretty good story with some pretty good decent comedy moments and some really fucked up moments. And fucking, it's like fuck it. So she ended up taking notes for it, and she made like just all these little figures because we was too poor to buy all the fucking expensive ass figures, so she just fucking make whatever. She made an entire pirate ship. It was great. Game was good shit. I kind of miss doing D&D, but DMing's a lot of effort, especially when you're me and I'm like, right, I have to. I'd pick like noises and a picture's worth 1,000 words, so books lose. Yeah, but you know, books have more than 1,000 words, and they don't need pictures. They paint one with your imagination brush. So like I'd put like atmosphere music on and fucking, oh, you're in a town, here's town sounds. It's dramatic music. Oh, here's shit going down on like fucking, you know, like, I mean, it's one of the reasons my voices got better because I could do a lot of voices, but I kind of perfected them doing D&D. Because like, you know, when you've got to be all the characters, you're like, and here's the mayor of fucking, you know, Whoville. You're like, oh, you're right, laddie. Welcome to Whoville. It's very nice to have you. It's very, you know, very great, very gracious. And then you go to the next place. You're, well, it's another mayor, and you're like, well, and then eventually you've done all the regional accents, and you've only kind of got out of the place you were in. and that's because you also have to do the butcher, the baker, the shops, the enemies. You have to do. I'm going to talk to this. I'm going to chat up this woman in the bar and chat up this man in the bar. I'm going to, you know, you have to do them all, and they all have to be different. Otherwise, people go, the DM is doing the same voice as that other character. Is it them in disguise? Something going on here, and you have to be like, no, it isn't, and they never believe you. They never believe you. You fuck with them once, and they never believe you again. Made holiday event games. Yeah, So my girlfriend wanted to do a Halloween game. They did a ghost ship. And she saw a couple shadows and ran off and didn't participate in the rest. She is a pirate captain. So you haven't done D&D since the 90s. Is that 3.5 or is that AD&D? Or like, you know, something else. Which edition? I play very exclusively 3.5. 3.5. I hate Thaco. Thaco can suck my balls when they're dirty, and I've been wrestling in the mud, and it's just got everywhere. I've been playing like football, rugby, whatever, you know, and I don't mean soccer ball. And, you know, the mud's everywhere, everything, the blood and the spit, everything, you know, because, men. And, you know, they can suck it then. And, you know, 4, I didn't play. I bought a bunch of books for it and then never played with them. And then 5, I just think is really kind of empty. I tried playing it a bit. I only run 3.5. Palindrome. That was the word I was looking for, wasn't it? Thank you, me. You even spell it like me. It is me. It is me from a different universe that has come back to haunt me. First edition. No, Thaco is for nerds that don't want to leave the dungeon because they want to do too much math. I know, it's so dumb. I mean, I kind of get it, but like, nah. I prefer armor class in 3.5. Fourth did suck. I mean, I did play one of my favorite characters in second edition, though. To be fair, I played an anti-paladin. I was playing a paladin, and then I just fell off a cliff. It's just a fumble, just gone. And it was like the first roll of the game. And me and the DM had been like, 3.5 is not a watered down version of 3.5 with improvements. 3.5 is 3.5 with improvements, because 3 was terrible. 3.5 is fucking amazing. And anything you wanted to do, there was a book for it. And then you could level up as much as you wanted, and it had everything. It was so good. So my paladin died immediately. Me and the DM I was playing with had been working on a bad guy for him, where it's going to be like an identical twin brother. I just went, can I play my identical twin brother? And he was an anti-paladin. He was going to be like the opposite god and all the, diametric and all that bullshit. And fucking, I ended up playing him and killed half the party before the game ended. Damn. I mean, depopulating planet at level 1 in 3.5 seems absurd. Like, that just seems like a gregarious DM, because 3.5 is actually an incredibly unforgiving battle system. 3.5, even at level 1, you can be killed with one hit from a rat. So, and you can't power up that much at level 1 in 3.5. Now, don't get me wrong, 3.5, you could fucking, like, you could power game like fuck and murder everything, a lot like earlier if you super specialized and knew everything. But I don't see it. I don't know. I really like 3.5. I'm a defender. So yeah, I did incorporate things from Pathfinder Edition 1, because it's basically just a better version of 3.5. I did incorporate some stuff from 5. I think I did incorporate stuff from second edition, because I ended up because I loved the crit and fumble tables, so I ended up using them. It was great shit. I love doing shit like that. Hey, Tux, doing stuff. Yeah, D&D's always had fucking great shit. To be honest, it sounds like you're talking about Pathfinder though, more than you're talking about 3.5. I know you can do that shit in 3. And like sort of do that shit in 3.5, but it still takes a bunch of levels. But that stuff is much more inherent in Pathfinder, because Pathfinder is fucking ridiculous, and Pathfinder is basically interchangeable with 3.5. Because it was just everybody. It was a bunch of people who went, do you know what? I don't like 4th edition, so they made their own. Wow, somebody getting spicy in the chat. They're friends, but it doesn't mean they can't get spicy at each other. But no, 3.5 is absurd. It's one of the things I like about it. It's like, I kind of found, once you get to around level 7 to 10, you could start kind of doing whatever. But people have been playing for a while since then, unless you started at 5. But that's the thing. I always had people start at level 1. It's one of the things I always love about D&D. People go, I'm going to make a backstory for D&D, and it's level 1 character, and they go, Gregor, I was fighting in an arena, and I was a champion, and I did this, and I would beat these big beasties, and and then the level 1, and they're like, oh my god, it's a rat. Fuck, no, not a swarm of spiders. I'm so dead. Yeah, because like, Wizards wizards are wizards get spicy because they go, especially if you start specializing them and you go, I'm not going to use that one, I'm not going to use that one, and I'm not going to use that one. I'll just specialize in like evocation or whatever. And you just go, and everything dies. Well, see, the thing is what I would do is I challenge them as characters more than like I had fights, and because I was being a fool. I mean, it ran well. I ran it for 3-4 years. I had like 8 people in the game, so the battles were big. It was like one time, one of the things I took from 4th edition, it was like, you know, the enemy followers have like just one health point, you know. There's just say fodder to put in the way sort of thing. I ended up having them do that and holding back a tide of zombies from entering a city, and they ended up killing 2,000 zombies by the end of it. That was a great battle. That went on for 6 hours. They finished I remember when they finished the first arc, and it was about like, you know, this like guy was trying to wake up the god of the ghouls, because the overall story was about Vecna, and then like his ghouls fight Vecna zombies and all the shamans, and like the whole thing with like the final game of that went on, I think for 16 hours. That was a good game, to be honest. I can't. I think I should have ended it though. I should have ended it though, because like it was such a good finale. Some good shit happens afterwards. Like I had so one of my friends was playing a warlock, and she wanted to be like, it's a warlock, it's chaotic. So I had a basically, I took like the patron thing from 5. I'm in the park. You know, we're all just here chit chatting away, and the co-host just off in the park. Yeah, he's walking his dog. Sorry. That's great. But so then she became like under this thing of chaos. So I gave her a D100 table. Every day, some different shit happened. And, you know, I go, roll your D100s, and it's a new day, and it could be different, you know, depending on how long what was going on in the games and how long shit lasted. She could be on the same thing for multiple games, or have multiple things in the same game. And, you know, some of them was like, you know, your Eldritch Blast is green, you know, you can levitate. In fact, one time, but then there's stuff where like, you know, that's all the normal mundane pluses and minuses. You get +4 to attack, -4 to attack, blah 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 blah. But then, like one day, she woke up and she had beaver teeth, and she had the insatiable urge to eat wood. So she had to nibble on wood all the time. Otherwise, she had to go off and find some wood. Because if she was in a wooden house, she would just start nibbling the walls. She wouldn't she'd nibble through them a bit. She wouldn't like take the house down. You know what I mean? But she would have to like go around. There was one time she was a balloon. Like not, but the thing is, she was a balloon, so she was up in the air and she couldn't come down. And if somebody didn't hold on to her with like a bit of rope or whatever, or just like down, or like tie her down, she just float off. Oh yeah, stuff like that's great. Oh yeah, I did that with her. It's like, no, plot device. You are plot device today. You've woken up as an item. Maybe that item's worth knowing for some reason. You know, knowing about for some. But the great shit is that sometimes I'd make her an animal, but she was still a warlock. So there was like one time she woke up as a frog, and she did Eldritch Croak. The Eldritch Blast came out of her eyes. She was a llama. She was a worm once. That was fun. People had a hard time finding her. No. The warlock in 3.5 isn't as good as his other characters. You can stack powers, and if you give them some magic items, they get really good. but it takes work otherwise. They're kind of underpowered. It's like you get 1d6 attack round, and the bonus is that you get to ignore armor class. There's not a lot of warlocks are a bit shit in 3.5. It goes up occasionally. There's stuff you can add to them, but warlocks are one of the classes that are lacking in 3.5 a little bit. It was one of the few games I've ever had where I had a character in the game. I was playing it as well because I had like a barbarian orc, because that's what people do. So I was playing a different barbarian orc, but he was half barbarian and I was full barbarian. So I'd mock him for being half a barbarian and half an orc. Well, he was half an orc and half a barbarian. That was quite fun. And I didn't really do much in the game. I never gave him really hints, and I wouldn't help him out with strength checks, and I didn't really kill things that often. And it's just sometimes it's really fun to have a voice in the game, and to be able to make fun of people in character is fun, especially when you're the forever DM, because no one else DMs around you. But if we have a bunch of people that plays D&D, we should all play a D&D at some point. That would be cool. I love D&D. It's the best. It's so much fun. And we're all old D&D players, so we might have similar ideas about what a D&D game should be. Maybe it's the area I live in. Too many of them just think all you can do is modules. Like, they sit around and compare how many times they've ran things and stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, so I also love playing in role playing in characters is the best. It totally is, right? It totally is. I was playing someone else's game, and they were doing they were running a game in Althas. Is it Althas? What's it called? It's from 2nd edition. The Mad Max D&D thing. The fucking desert planet. The fuck's it called? That one. I can't remember what it's called, but the desert one. And I was Naniog from Discworld. And for those that don't know, a Naniog is an old witch who has 15 children, and really, really enjoys a good rogering, and really likes drinking, and is obsessed with hedgehogs, because a hedgehog can never be buggered at all. But I played her when she was young, because there's a painting of her from the Discworld version of I nearly said I said his name in Discworld instead of it's the Discworld version of Leonardo da Vinci. It's called Leonard de Querm. He falls in love with her, and it's not in any of the books. It's just kind of mentioned in Sillery and stuff. And he makes a picture of her as the Mona Og, and she has a big smile. And instead of her eyes following you around the room, it's a smile in her teeth. So I played a little bit of Vampire the Masquerade. I love Vampire, but I haven't found a group that can deal with playing Vampire with me. You know what I mean? Because, I'm a vampire. I think too many people think when I play Vampire the Masquerade, there's too many people that play Vampire the Masquerade like you're supposed to be a heroic vampire. It's weird. It's like, no, you're a vampire. I'm going to be a Samisi, and I'm going to mold people together, and I'm going to make my perfect version, and then I'm going to mold an entire house of skin of people on walls. Like in Jeepers Creepers when he goes down into the church. Vampire was the shiz. Did you play Dark Ages or Masquerade? I personally much prefer Masquerade. Not Masquerade, Dark Ages. I always play as a Misi, and the missus always plays Gangrel. Yeah, I've never played Werewolf. The one guy who used to do stuff with it, he never ran Werewolf. He had the books for it, and he had the books for the Mummy one and all sorts. Yeah, Masquerade is. I think Masquerade's more for if you want all this weird political shit. You can definitely get that in Dark Ages, but Masquerade's a lot more of don't tell anyone anything. No one can find out. And Dark Ages is do you know what? Just start a war. Why not? Just go fucking rampage. It's cool. See, I've seen the video game of it, and then I've heard it was an actual tabletop, but I've never played it. I only had a limited group of people to play with, so I never got to play with people much. So there wasn't a lot of games. I think at one point, like, my dad was kind of into Warhammer, but we never really did any of that. He just made me paint his figures. Yeah, vampire's fun. It's fun being a vampire and just fucking haranguing people. Hey Tux, are you still watching? If you are, how long are you gonna be? I never got a chance to play Cyberpunk. But I've seen some videos of other people playing it, and it just looked like far too many dice rolls for absolutely everything you do. You tried that back cushion? No. Can we grab it? Like a bunch of cushions there as well. Do you know what I mean? Do you need another one? He's busy out with, yeah, dealing with his bottom bitch. Oh, yeah. Did she move, Pippin? Hey. Why don't you come here? I want to fuss. I want to fuss from a dog. Oh, no. Come here. Pain in the ass. Come here. Come on. There's the puppers. Hey. If he's out with his dog, then my dog can be here. I don't know. It's that fucking thing is shit at picking up this. Hello, Pippin. Hello, Papa. Oh. Who's the good girls? Yep. There we go. Hey. There we go. She's had a fuss, and now I have to throw the ball forever. She's a collie with a ball fixation. It's the only thing she cares about. Oh. To be honest, my gusto has left me. How many actual pages have we got left? There's 1, 2, 3. Yeah. We'll see what the score is. I'll give him 10 minutes. Because it's been a while, right? To be honest, I wasn't expecting the adrenaline to drop so much. I could use a brew, though. So, there is that. So I'm going to make a brew. If I didn't have pets, I'd be dead. I'm doing great without God, though. Well, that's exactly what that sentence says to me. Man, the only problem with existence is the people. You got to go around expecting the rest of the world to have some kind of, at least somewhat sane, rational head on them. And there's 8 billion of them. So there's that. I don't know. Ask me questions. Stop me fucking making up all the shit. Like, alright, I'll ask you lot. I was going to do a thing making fun of fucking what's his face? Fucking
Braxton.
Braxton Hunter, right? I was going to do a thing making fun of him. And I was going to like have a bald cap and I was going to pretend to be him, right? And I was planning this shit before yesterday. And now yesterday happens and like makes it seem retaliatory instead of like whatever. Do y'all think that makes it less funny? I do.
Here's a question for you. Do you have a favourite PC RPG, Zach?
Say again?
Do you have a favourite PC RPG?
Not on the PC because I play PlayStation. But my favorite RPG ever? Oh, that's hard. That's hard. Because, like, was it Lord of the Rings War in the North was fucking amazing. Final Fantasy VIII is amazing. Final Fantasy VI is amazing. So it's 10. What's the other one? The other one that isn't Final Fantasy VII. Fuck. I don't know. The Mass Effect trilogy is really good. I kind of think that RPGs have dropped off of recent now. They all kind of feel the same and just stupid open world shash. Piss me off, I can't think of what the fuck that thing's called. What questions? What criteria demands a god as true or what others as false? What criteria determines? Oh, I kind of think that logical inconsistency throughout should at least be key. Because, like, if you've got the divine inspired word of your God, well, then the book should be correct the entire way through. It should comport with itself the entire way through. And its teaching shouldn't change. And you shouldn't have to work around things that get discovered in the future. I would have made you a brew if you asked. Fair. What else? I think. See, that's the. I think just determining a god without any qualifiers makes that a lot harder. Aside from what I've just said, because like otherwise it starts falling into deism a little bit and like pantheism and shit, and it's like, well, I can't. There's no anything. So unless and like if you found like an actual, say like if a neutrino actually ran through like literally everything instead of passing through it and was the physical makeup of everything, right? And then if you interacted with it, it would interact with you as if it was a living being instead of being a reactionary process, like, electrical charges moving and shit. I think that would certainly point to that sort of thing. I'll take Fallout New Vegas was the last good console RPG. When did Mass Effect come down? Come on, yeah. Oh, come on. Yeah, there we go. Mass Effect. This keyboard is definitely. Mass Effect came out. Just. Come on. Come on, Google. Tell me what I want to know. 2007. New Vegas. And also, Baldur's Gate 3 is fucking amazing. So, no. Actually. To be fair, the Pathfinder games were pretty good as well. Yeah, I do think. Yeah, I agree. You have to. Because I think the question about what criteria for God should be is more dependent on which God you're talking about. Doesn't even look like I'm. Ah! All right. Yeah, but Shepherd's a blank slate as well. Like, you could go either way. bad in Mass Effect is very different than good, and he is a very, very different character. And there's a lot of grey in between. Anyway, you Pippin, it's too late for ball. Yeah. It's tough.
No more ball now, girl. Too late for ball. You have to do other things now.
I suppose. Oh. How long's it been? Feels like a while. Oh. I went up too far. I'm just seeing, trying to find his messages in the chat. About half an hour ago. I wasn't really anticipating sitting around for like half an hour, 40 minutes. I guess when he said he was going, I didn't think he was going away for this long. Oh, you're back in 2-3 minutes. Fair enough. Cool beans. Well, never mind then. I'll shut my dirty whore of a mouth up then. Well, the projection is our whole point. We're talking about a falsifiable, provable DD. Well, but projection isn't just necessarily the point. Like, we can prove Yahweh by going, hey, look, he said that this miraculous event occurred in this place. So we should, while we look through the strata layers, should find, a strata layer of worldwide flood. And since we don't, then we can't say that it was real. So it's like when one Braxton Hunter is saying, fucking, oh, you don't have to take Genesis seriously. It's allegory. It's this. It's that. It's like, well, how far does that go then, Mr. Hunter? How far does it go? Is it just creation? Is it Adam and Eve? Is it do you believe in the flood? Which bit's the first bit? Is it all the way to Exodus, where it's like, do you know what, Exodus probably happened, right? It wasn't the Hyksos at all. And, Genesis wasn't taken from the Mesopotamians. And even if it was, it wouldn't matter because we could prove that Jesus resurrected, even though we have no first-hand accounts from anyone. In our earliest documents, like our earliest ideas of when, like, say things like Mark, or like Q was written was 30 to 40 years later. But hey, who cares about stuff like that, right? Because Paul wrote a bunch of letters to churches telling them how to accord. So that means that Paul said loads of things about Jesus, right? Here's a challenge to Christians. Here's a challenge. I'll somebody clip this and send it me, or just timestamp it on the fucking in the comments, right? Here's a challenge to all you Christians. How about this? Why don't you? What was I going to say? Fuck. No. What the fuck was I going to say?
Don't know.
Oh yeah. Here's a challenge for you Christians, right? And this is a real challenge that you should do. In all honesty, I want you to go through and read Paul's authentic letters. Acts is not one of them, right? I want you to go through, and you know what? Fuck it. Read his inauthentic letters. I want you to read Paul's letters, and I want you to see exactly what Paul says about Jesus' life and death, and how many times it's actually mentioned, and how many things concord with what happens in the Gospels. It's an interesting little experiment, with the Bible. It's fun, right? I'm gonna go make my brew because
I've got a brew.
he's got a brew.
I got a brew.
Yeah,
But I've
fair
been
enough.
drinking the entire time. So
Do you know what? Here we go. How about this? How about this, Mr. Tux? How about this? I've been holding down the fort. You go on.
all right.
Dance, monkey, dance.
I noticed that there was a lot of conversation about some Dungeons and Dragons esqueness, and I had played the original Baldur's Gate on a PC, and then it came to Xbox One, I believe, if memory serves me correctly. And then I played the follow-up to it, and it wasn't as good, but it was good. And actually there was a character, a shadow assassin named Artemis something, and I really enjoyed that game. So I played that one. I was not familiar with the games that you guys were playing. I'm just old school D&D. And then Sacred 3, I'm sorry, not Sacred 3, Sacred 2 came out, and I got to play it, and I love that game. That was an excellent one.
Sacred 2 is the best Diablo sequel that wasn't Diablo.
That is the best non-Diablo type of game. I really enjoyed that one. And then Sacred 3 came out, and it was garbage.
I mean, Sacred 1 was pretty garbage as well.
Yeah, Sacred 1 wasn't anything to write home about.
It has precisely one good game.
And then I kind of play a multi PvP called Total Battle that I spend way too much money on, but it's very D&D like.
Yeah, Becky.
It's worth getting into for getting the community clan type of thing.
Do you know? Actually, I've remembered whilst you were away, I was asking people. Amber asked me what my favorite thing was. Do you know what it is? I forgot. There was a game I forgot. I can't remember the name of. Legendary Dragoon. Legendary Dragoon is the shit.
Never heard of that one.
It's like a Final Fantasy VII clone that is about 20 times better than Final Fantasy VII, but it came out at like basically the same time, so not very many people remember it. I mean, it's just been remastered, so that's good.
It's too late for ball.
Right. Do you want to power through this and then?
Let's power through it. Let's see. I'm on. Do you want me to give you PDF page number or?
No, I'm on the right.
I'm in the right spot. We're in this.
Yeah. So it's this.
This paragraph that says starts with second.
Yeah. There we are.
Is my audio cutting out? By the way.
No, it's fine to us.
When I tuned in,
it's the.
I noticed while my video was alive that my audio was cutting out.
It didn't seem to be to me. It might do to the audience. So
yeah, okay. Second, even if something is poorly designed, it is still designed. In 2010, I had the privilege of holding an apologetics conference in Miami, Florida, at a church which was overwhelmingly made up of Cuban Americans. Over lunch, we discussed Cuban culture in great detail. One of the interesting facts that shared was the existence of a poorly designed automatic transmission manufactured in Cuba known as a Fatingo. Fatingos, I don't know what the proper pronunciation to this is, but actually, let me look at this. Let me see what look up.
Opposed to the best engine in the world, the Wankel rotary engine.
It's translated to fuss. Interesting. Okay. Fatingos. Fatingos is, as best as I could gather, have become infamous for their lack of reliability. They are something of a joke to Cubans. Nevertheless, while everyone admits that Fatingo is a poorly designed car, no one denies that the Fatingo was actually designed. Thus, while most
wait. According to Joshua Fierstein, these cars were made together in like a tornado. It just tore through, like a junkyard. And
oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about that analogy. Yeah.
I remember all the things that
the
people
problem
forget.
isn't whether something was designed. It's that the owner's manual is the problem. So let me give you a scenario, Braxton. I want you to pretend that I'm your car salesperson. And your car salesperson calls you up and says, ring, 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 ring. Hey, Braxton, great news. Your car's here. Come and pick it up. And you come by and you come to pick it up. And in the delivery area, in the parking spot where I say your car is, there's nothing there. It's invisible. And I tell you, I put my arm on your shoulder and I say, just confess to the car and it will become apparent to you. I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give this owner's manual. You're going to take this owner's manual. I want you to read it from cover to cover, and I want you to learn everything there is about it, because this is the owner's manual for the invisible car that I'm selling you right here. And you have to believe that it's there, or else it won't be real to you at all.
Yeah, but Jimmy,
yes.
What if I came along, right, and I said I had a different car that was similar to yours, but had a slightly different manual?
What kind of car do you have now?
They should learn this manual instead.
Well, I'm going to ignore that, because that's a false car manufacturer's owner's manual.
Oh, right.
What kind of car do you have?
My do you know what? You got me. I don't know.
Yes. So let's say, Braxton, we open up this owner's manual and we start reading it together, and I narrate a little bit of this as well. You start reading and you find out that there was a specific day that your car was supposed to be made, but as luck would have it, it was a really bad day for all of the factory workers, and everything just went to shit, and your car never actually got manufactured. But someday your car's going to get manufactured. And not to worry. One of the original factory owners, that guy died a little while ago, and someday he's going to make everything in the factory right again so that cars can come out again. But you have to believe that the invisible car that I'm selling you today, that is what that dead factory worker wanted for you.
I'm really believing it, Tux.
Yeah.
To be fair, it's a great analogy, but that's it. That's why I tried to add in the other, because it's like, yeah, well, there's other design manuals out there for different cars. This one's for an elephant. This one's elephant shaped. This one's camel shaped.
That's right. And that's the problem, is the owner's manual for the elephant. That is the evil owner's manual. You can't take anything that owner's manual says. It's evil.
Yeah, but your owner's manual doesn't get the age of the universe right, and my elephant one does. The age of the car manufacturer facility right, and mine does.
Right. Yes. Yours does. Yours is a little more right than the one that I'm selling Braxton. Huh. As luck would have it. It might be because the elephants are a little bit older.
Yeah, but that makes the car more mystical and more exotic.
That's true. Yes. Yes. That's right. Not only that, but there are other car manufacturers that have
They've gone out of business.
Falsely accused.
Oh, sorry.
And interfered with the factory workers, and that is a terrible thing. And don't worry, someday they'll be punished. And not only that, there's a chance they might have contributed. Those evildoers may have contributed to the owner's manual that you're reading now to make it less than trustworthy.
And as punishment, they'll work in the mailroom forever.
If you accept it on faith that it's trustworthy, and you believe in your heart that the car is there in that parking space, then you will also receive love from the car. And the factory worker won't be able to complete his task until you believe full faithfully.
Do you know what? I love this analogy. We need to do something with this further that requires not being on a stream. I feel we could make something out of that. Is it?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Well, because I have one like that where it's like it's a bunch of doors in a hallway. You know what I mean? And everybody goes and knocks on the door, and they go, "Well, my best friend's behind this door," but the door doesn't open. And then someone else comes down the hallway, they knock on the next door, and They say my best friend's behind this door, but that door doesn't open either. Well, my friend is better than yours because last Tuesday. You know what I mean. But with this though, like the idea that so he said, we're a pair of funny lads. We're funny guys. We make him chuckle, maybe even guffaw. I'm putting words in his mouth, but I don't care. He did say we were funny, right? So how did you not tell that when fucking when atheists and shit are saying oh, it's a bad design? They're not. It's sarcastic. It's not actually saying that it was designed. It's going, yeah, your designer designed this, really?
Yeah.
I mean, even the quote he used from Hitchens does that at the end. Some design. It's not saying that it was designed. But, if you twist the words a little bit, it kind of seems the same for people that aren't paying attention and just reading through. For all the reasons listed here, Christian theists feel confident in the argument that the universe is well ordered. Repeatedly, atheists and agnostics have attempted to demonstrate that the argument fails and have failed in their endeavors. Well, the agnostics failed, but when they become agnostic, we'll parade them around, right? But they fail overall, but they've sort of made it though. Like an Anthony Flew.
Yeah, I didn't know who Anthony Flew was.
I did because of a different video, and only because of that video.
Yeah.
Until some skeptic is able to show and defend either a fourth option other than a physical necessity, chance, or design. I don't know. Reactions seem like a pretty good one. Which explains the fine-tuning of the universe? Or is it able to successfully articulate a defense of the two existing alternatives to design? The argument that the universe is ordered because of the design stands undefeated. I really want to know why he capitalizes ordered.
I don't know.
Every time he says it. What about, it doesn't say, it isn't like when he doesn't say in the order in the universe and then capitalize order, right? But ordered. Is it because you're supposed to be ordered into believing the things he says? So there's a little trick that Darren Brown teaches is about doing stuff like that and making people think a certain way because you've said things in a certain way. Or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So, like the example, one of the things he does is he changes the mind of Simon Pegg from wanting like an Xbox for Christmas to a BMX because of the words he uses, the letters it starts with. He actually puts them in awkward ways, and he does that in one of his shows with with the woman ripping up the independent male, and what show was that? Fuck! It was one of his live shows, and basically at the end of it. He goes, look, I've made you choose these pages in the paper and stuff because he just at random points in the show says it where they don't fit, and he even films it and like starts winking at the camera and shit when he does it. It's really good because if you do stuff like that, it implants in people's brain more. So the fact that he is saying ordered in capital letters means he is bit like it's an analogous for ordering you to believe.
I see.
Because it's going to stick in your head more. Why is that capitalized? Do you know what I mean?
It was like around 10 years ago I was first introduced to Darren Brown. It's been a while. It's probably been at least 5 years since I looked at one of his videos. Has he been doing anything lately? Yeah, he tends to do like a live show every year to 2 years. He still does the occasional TV show. He's got a fucking great one where he falls around a psychic medium and just ruins that guy's week. It's so good. Wow.
That man's really good at explaining just exactly all the psychological fuckery that goes on with people. And if you really pay attention, you can learn a lot on how people control people.
Yeah, if you watch his creating of the faith healer or the guru, the spiritual guru experiment he does. Is it experiment or is it just?
It's not an experiment. He's going, I know how this is done.
Yeah.
And I'm going to teach this guy, and I'm going to show you how easy it is that just this random guy I've picked out from a crowd can do it. That was basically his point. He's got another one where he like converts people and then converts them back. The one where he's like torturing people by saying he's going to kill the kitten So when the timer, there's so much good shit. The one about how people work in a crowd. So he makes like a game show and they makes everybody wear a mask. And it's like a guy out in the world, and like, you're gonna fuck up his day. You're gonna make it really good. Here's a series of options. You're gonna vote and make this shit happen. So it's like, is he gonna get in a fight with this guy, or is he in it? And the whole point is when you put people in a mask and in a crowd, like the internet, a riot, whatever, depersonalization happens where I'm in a group and can't get done, so it makes everybody worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's anonymous, so they're not going to get done. So it makes them worse. It's so good.
All the more reason to give my face to the internet.
Right? Do you wanna?
Transitioning the argument for the layman.
Yeah.
The argument explained in this chapter is one of which many church members are already somewhat familiar. Referring to it as the design argument is likely to jog the memory more easily than calling it the teleological argument of God's existence.
Rebranding.
However, it is received at a great deal of coverage via the media over the years.
Well, sorry, just say, I've just thought, like literally just thought. Yeah, at the start of this, he says that I'm making this for 21st century evangelism or whatever, right? Is that what he means? I'm just kind of rebranding stuff a little bit, giving it a new name, giving it a new giving it a little scientific edge for these arguments that have been around since the 1100s. Sorry, go on.
You remember that far ago?
I've been editing our first episode and our last episode and his video about us for a while before we started streaming, so it's all still fresh in my mind.
However, it has received a great deal of coverage via the media over the years and has made it its way into sermons in casual form. Still, the only attention paid to it by most laymen comes with the respect to the debate regarding evolution. Once again, this is an important discussion that needs to be had. But for the purpose of evangelicalism, learners need to know how to successfully articulate the argument from design well. Learning some bumper sticker one-liners which cast aspersions on evolution. Aspersions on evolution may be satisfying to some evangelicals, but it can be a distraction from the greater truth that is revealed by the argument. Moreover,
so bumper sticker one-liner things are not good for the evangelicals that want to say stuff about evolution or whatever, right? But saying my whole argument for God and the existence of reality comes down to 3 lines is okay. No, cool, I get it.
Yeah.
The universe had a beginning. Everything that exists had a beginning. God. Or create whatever. You know what I mean. I said it wrong. But
something began to exist, therefore God.
Exactly. Damn. B.S. Lewis said he's just finished an edit of me. Last time I was in a video of his, I was an angry atheist in the basement.
The last time I was in a B.S. Lewis video, I believe I was...
You were the devil, sir. The devil.
Like the fruits of the DVL.
That video, so I love that video.
I know, but B.S.
Them
Lewis
Apologist
did a great
pigeons
job.
is the shit.
The Apologist pigeons, yeah.
Hey,
I
BS.
sent that to a friend of mine, and she was like, "Why is there so much poop jokes and why is there so many fart and poop jokes in this video?" I was like, "Because it's bullshit apologetics. It's a play on bullshit apologetics." Oh, bullshit Oh, now I get it.
But I love it. That fucking them. Oh, it's so funny. Everybody needs to watch all of BS's stuff lots of times so that he can get his watch time up.
Yeah, he has some really good videos. He's got some classics there. Like,
he does. He does.
The Christmas Apology low bar bill / and then my favorite is I forget what the name of it is. But
my favorite one is when he beasted that small Christian girl.
Is that the one with Math Pig? Math Pig does the voice for?
If he did, I can't remember. He just says it. What's the title? He just wrecks a little blue girl's hair, a little blue girl with a little hair with blue, little girl with blue hair or some shit. Man, words. Right, we need to finish this. I can't speak.
Moreover, it confuses the discussion by evoking political conversations about what should be taught in public school science class. Such dialogues are vital in the right context, but the goal of Christians should be to reach the hearts and minds of unbelievers first, not win a debate.
So you have to convince them, but not debate them.
Wow.
But,
Moreover, I've never ever been an atheist, and I'm completely aware this is going to sound smug, even though I don't mean it that way. But the reality is, I think I understand the arguments for and defenses of atheist positions better than most atheists I know.
So I guess he wouldn't think that we need to win a debate because he's already won it. You see? He knows all of our positions. He knows everything we're going to say in and out. So why debate? Win the hearts and minds. That's all that matters because he's already won.
Yeah. Let's reach those hearts and minds about that invisible car I'm selling. I'm going to take all the proceeds and the profits from the invisible car that you bought. Enjoy the owner's manual. I'm sure it'll work out fine for you.
For this reason, training on the argument should begin by training on the argument. You don't need training on arguments if you have proof.
Yeah. That's...
Do you know what? When you go to science class and they're teaching you about science, you know what they do? They teach you the arguments of oxygen and gravity instead of going, here's how you demonstrate it.
Yeah.
But then again, that's just silly naturalism.
Here's the equivalence of a flowchart on the ingredients of oxygen as we know it.
You can smoke, Dave. Yeah. Sorry. Students do not need to know one single fact about biology to successfully share the case from order with unbelievers. See? Like I said in the little bit that in the beginning video for the very... no, it was the last video, in fact. Where, biology is actually chemistry and chemistry is actually physics. So, maybe this is the third thing that he was actually hiding, is that he's trying to make this argument easier for the people that he's using, because, you don't need to know about biology. Just leave it alone, right? Just talk about this stupid philosophy bullshit and don't worry about all the other things. So, when they say, well, why did God make the wandering nerve? Well, that's evolution. You can ignore that, right? Why did God make the tsetse fly that, fucks it? Is it children's eyes, or is that the one that goes up your dick or whatever? Why did God make that? Well, that's evolution. Don't worry about it, right? So that's why we didn't need to worry about evolution.
Wow.
Students do not. Yeah, facilitators can share premise one with students by pointing out that the world became so well ordered for life, either because it just had to be this way, or it randomly ended up this way, or God designed it for life. Because it's just random. It's always just random. It's not reactionary. It's just random.
When students wish to defend premise one...
Yeah, sorry, I'd lost where I was going.
They merely need to ask the unbeliever whether there are any other options which he can think of to explain the order of the universe.
Sorry, just a sec, but Mr. B.S. Lewis is correct there, isn't it? Isn't the ultimate win to a debate to change your opponent's mind? But that's why you've got to win their hearts instead.
That's called a heart attack to...
Right, carry on.
I was taking a sipper. All right, let's
Fair enough.
There aren't any. Whatever the unbeliever mentions as a possibility will either be a misunderstanding of the argument or will fall into the one of three categories. For this reason, the student can move on to the defense of premise 2. This is where most of the action takes place for this argument.
It's where all the action is.
That's
bit of action. You like a bit of action on a Tuesday evening? Get into premise 2. Ooh, bit of action.
So, if refresh my memory, what is premise 1 and premise 2 of the teleological argument again?
Well, let's just go up to see what he says.
Because I've forgotten already.
The formal argument. The fine-tuning of the universe is due either to physical necessity, chance, or design. It is not due to physical necessity or chance. Therefore, it is due to design.
Okay. Well.
Wait. Whoa. Just a second. Rereading this, he's been talking about, well, this is all fine-tuned for life, right?
But
it doesn't say that in his premise. He just says that later. It's almost like he's dishonest about what he says.
Don't let him hear you say that. He might use that as an argument of his full disclosure in his receipts.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Huh. So let's go.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot
to defend premise one.
Yeah.
I as an atheist, I defend premise one. I don't care about premise one. I'm agnostic about a creator.
Yeah.
And a fine tuner, a first mover, a Cosmo boss. I'm agnostic about all of those. What I'm an atheist of is the name of any of those entities. Something that's in charge of us. Cosmos is in charge. Something that's in charge of the cosmos. Something is a creator. I am agnostic about those, but I'm an atheist about that being named God and has a book that's called the Word of God and is holy. Premise 2. This is where most of the action takes place for this argument. It should seem intuitively obvious to students that the universe did not, in fact, have to be this way.
See, like I always say, easy intuitive answers to hard non-intuitive questions. Sorry, carry on.
One could point out that the varying citations mentioned in this chapter that demonstrate that scientists today admit that it could have been otherwise. This, however, shouldn't really be necessary. The learners know that when something explodes, it is consistent with explosions for debris to fly in any number of directions. A plate might shatter into an arrangement of glass shards. If an explosion in a lumber yard resulted in a finely constructed log cabin, no one would contend that the explosion just had the result of a move-in ready home. What about chance?
Well,
okay,
that's not how that works.
Let's go back to my analogy about the invisible car. So you're telling me, oh, you know what? I see he's going to make this example. He's going to make this example. Never mind. I'm going to come back to that. Awareness of the absurdity of chance has an explanation for the fine-tuning of the universe is that laymen already have because of prior learning. Tornadoes and junkyards do not result in 747 airliners. And they would not result in 747 giving billions of tornadoes in billions of junkyards. So let me ask you,
really big numbers.
Is it reasonable to believe that tornadoes and make 747s, or is it reasonable that one person makes a 747? One person is the failure within the factory of the 747, or is it multiple construction workers, multiple architects, multiple engineers, multiple laborers, multiple supply chains, multiple investors, multiple presidents, even within the time frame of a 747 coming to fruition. It may have been started by one boss and finished by another boss.
And once again, sorry, I didn't realize you weren't done. Go on.
Yeah, I'm pretty much done with that argument. But that goes back to my invisible car. You have an invisible 747, an invisible tornado, and a visible junkyard. You have a physical nature, but you don't see within nature these kind of effects of tornadoes resulting in it. And having somebody like me that could be explained by nature, but could be explained by a designer, is not conclusive. That is the responsibility of the Christian to bring that forth.
And once again, they're using a physical example inside the universe, right? And going, look, it's a natural thing, right? And then trying to apply it to a God that's outside the universe that they call supernatural, right? But if we try and use, and Pippin, you gotta stop, please. If we try and use any like natural explanations for anything or any analogies that use, natural in-world things, then what's it called? Then we get told off that the things we can't use because, well, God's outside time and space, so that doesn't matter. But it's okay for them, though, right?
A Vespa on Roman roads 2,000 years ago is not possible, but that is designed. And there is a moment where it didn't exist. It may have existed in the mind, but there is a moment where it became a reality. And we have the blueprints, we have the schematics, we have the copyright, and when you submit it to the designers, the patent. We have the patent records and thought processes, et cetera, et cetera. But if I took that back to 2,000 years ago and said, God made it, do you really think that I talked to Jesus, a human preacher, and said, yeah, I'm God, I create stuff. I'll tell you what, I want you to be my representative. Go around telling these people how much better it would be if maybe we got God around here, and you could be that representative for God. And on top of that, I think you're going to be able to rally these troops so you can kick that oppressor Romans' butts up one side and down the other.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. Gotta go.
Let's get this done. Unbelievers with whom students might converse will point out that in biological evolution, there is a mechanism for arriving at complexity via natural selection. This is not the case for fine-tuning of the universe for life. You can't mention biological evolution during all the formal rebuttals and, the points of the argument and, the objections. But in the layman's bit, well, it's okay to bring up evolution in the layman's bit. Weird how he can bring it up here, though. So is that the third or the fourth time there was something secretive behind please don't talk about evolution? Just asking for a friend. And that friend is me and Jimmy Tux.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm the good one.
Do you know what he is? He's the good boy, and I'm the bad boy. So we're all right. No such mechanism exists. Thus, the fine-tuning of this sort must be by a truest sense of chance. This is absurd. A simple analogy like Hugh Ross's dimes to the moon example may be memorable enough with which students of their own apologetics use for their own apologetic uses. It is a powerful explanation when most unbelievers say that it all happens by chance. They have no idea of how unthinkably outlandish that claim is. And you, Braxton Hunter, one that is not a sciencey guy, so really can't talk about sciencey things, right? How about if you can't talk about sciencey things, then you can't even pretend to understand the vastness of the universe, exactly how many stars there are, exactly how many galaxies there are, how many galaxy superclusters there are, how many black holes there are, gamma ray bursts, and all these other things, right? And you're just pretending that the entirety of the entire universe was just for this one little teeny planet. Like I said before, the entire universe, from what we can see, spans 14.3 to 14.7 billion light years in every direction. That's a lot of space. It's a lot of stuff. And there's a lot of big gaps in the middle. There's still a lot of stuff though. So it's not that unthinkably an outlandish claim, actually. When you say it all happens by chance, it's not that unthinkably outlandish, because that number of dimes to the moon doesn't even number the number of fucking stars in our galaxy, if I remember correctly. I can't remember. But yeah, there's so many of all these things that have things around them. We have found habitable planets near us. Just 16 light years away, I think, is the nearest one. So maybe it's not as rare as we think. What happens if we start discovering life everywhere? What the fuck are these guys going to say then? I suppose it's more suited for life because then it's everywhere. It doesn't matter that if we find life everywhere, it probably also means that this technological advance is everywhere and people like, bioengineering stuff. But God was still there at the beginning, so whatever. At this point, the student can move forward to show that the only viable alternative is that the universe is a product of design, because we don't have any solid answers for anything. So as long as it appears that we have denied a bunch of things to someone who probably doesn't know that much about physics, well, then it's obvious to them, right? And it doesn't matter whether it's actually true or not. All that matters is that it convinces that person. It doesn't matter if it's actually true. Or is it? Oh, yeah, things get faster as they move. I'm dumb. But yeah.
Billion light years.
That makes my point even further.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah. This only pushes the argument back a step. Who designed the super intellect? Students should be prepared for the ever-present fallacy. Who made God? I've tickled Becky.
The Tukokwi.
Kokwi. Who made
I
God?
I would have. What did you say? You're tickled? You're Tukokwi tickled?
Yeah, she was Tukokwi. She was tickled. She laughed.
Yeah. So.
Sorry. What?
Yes. It's
okay
to state that my God has been everywhere all the time.
All at once?
All at once. But
roll credits.
You had to have been created by that being. The creator doesn't have a God, and the creator doesn't have a creator, and the creator doesn't have a mommy and a daddy. It just is.
Yeah. Well, it's outside time and space, so you can't test it until it wants to talk to me special, because I'm a special person who gets to speak to the all-omnipotent ruler of the universe, just in my head, on my own. And then it tells me that I'm correct. So that's cool, right?
That's cool. That's so cool.
And, since it's outside time and space, then you can't, do you know what the God thing feels like to me so much when they say shit like God's outside time and space and he works in mysterious ways and you can't understand all this shit and whatever. It always just sounds like to me, about you when you'd all be in high school and there'd be one kid that there was always one guy that's like, I've had 50 girlfriends and I've got 20 at the minute, and they go, well, name one. You go, well, she goes to the school next door. You don't know that one. And they go, I know, my sister goes there. They go, no, not that school.
The
not that one.
Fallacy.
Say again.
The Jan fallacy.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I don't know any boys. George Glass. I don't know anybody named George Glass. Transfer student. Jan.
Pippin, you got to stop that for a minute, please, don't.
I don't know. It's pretty endearing. It shows that we are top-notch professionals.
Well, I've always said I'm a consummate professional, so.
It's that little reindeer toy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I'm obsessed with that.
So truly, a reasonable unbeliever must admit. You must admit if you're only reasonable if you admit it. You see.
Yeah.
That the evidence leads to the conclusion that God exists. Do you know what? I agree. The evidence of this leads to the conclusion that God exists, right? It certainly leads you to it. You know what I mean?
This leads us down the primrose path.
Obvious. I'll grant you it's obvious. Trouble is, just because things are obvious doesn't mean they're true.
Wow. Oh, boy. God exists. Great.
Hosanna.
Because
let's finish this shit and go home.
Yeah, God exists because there's writing that says God exists.
Doesn't
exist for real, though.
Yeah, that's basically how it goes.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Right.
Oh.
Do you want to start this conclusion?
I think I'd rather just end it all and go to hell now.
I mean, if that was an option, then the Lord may the ground swallow me up now.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Because that is funny. That's just it just puts the exclamation point that is needed here.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
We were talking about Egypt all of a sudden.
Oh.
Yeah, denial.
Denial.
Bam.
The objections brought by skeptics today fail across the board, either because they are out of step with modern science, like Dawkins' mechanisms for the creation of multiple universes, or because they merely serve as red herrings that miss the point, like Hitchens, examples of poor design. We are standing at a time in the history of the world in which good science has revealed itself to be quite hospitable to theism.
Has it now? Is that what it's done?
And here's the thing. I somewhat agree with that. Like, we know a lot more. But keep in mind, we didn't have any of the distractions in the world that... I mean, we have an awful lot of the distractions in the world that they wouldn't have had. All they had to do was to examine nature at a great detail because they had to know it to survive.
Well, it's another thing that we're forgetting about, and I think a lot of people forget about this. A lot of these arguments were made for people that were already believing in a god. These, like, when they made when the Column was first formulated, William Lane Craig said in like the 1100s, or Aquinas and doing his shit or whatever, right? There weren't really atheists around. They were already they believed in other gods. They were polytheist mostly, or believed, like believing in like Thor and Odin or some kind of Germanic god or whatever, or wherever they were from. But you know what I mean? So when they were making these arguments, these people were already going, well, yes, of course there's a god, right? Get on with it. Because
I find that to be very true. For instance, went to the London Tower, and the amount of inscriptions etched into the walls about their God seeing them for what they are.
Yeah.
They're pleased to God. They really didn't have any other... They had to believe in God because they believed in God. I have a lot more knowledge, I believe, which could conflict with the reality that they experienced. It could obscure. I could be deceived by the information that I have obtained as knowledge. I understand it goes both ways. I'm accusing Braxton of falling for deception, and I could be under deception as well. You know what? The Bible just might be airtight, from God, from spirits. No evil spirits, no bad angels, no devils, demons, Satan really could have had a chance against all these human beings who are orchestrated to write the word of God. I could be wrong by that assumption, but
I also believe that this book instructs Braxton to provide the evidence that those bad angels, those evil spirits, those devils and demons and Satans exist, and that they didn't write this book. And he should already have, as an apologist, that information at the ready instead of whatever these quote-unquote O arguments and C arguments are.
Yeah, but if God was to allow all that stuff, well, then you would have to make these arguments, because how else are you supposed to navigate the invisible demons with the magic powers that affect what you do and say?
Correct. Yeah. How would I be able to distinguish the difference between that that bad guy who comes around and messes things up? Looks ultimately powerful to me until the good guy comes around and cleans up the mess.
I guess we'll just have to wait till we get to the facts.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
maybe
The facts.
Maybe we'll understand.
Yeah, the Jaws music is playing subtly in the background.
Well, Jesus be creeping.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want to finish this off? We're at the end here.
The O argument itself demands that the universe is either the result of physical necessity, chance, or design. As explained above, the former two alternatives fail miserably, and the latter alternative fits the evidence. So, what evidence did we get brought to us that is outside of an argument? Was there any?
The Bible?
The look at the trees analogy, the look at the sky and the cosmos analogies? Is that evidence? I don't think it is.
Well, it is, because when you see a sky, right, what you're seeing is the waters that were separated. And God uses the sky as like a mural for his beautiful art. I mean, have you never seen a rainbow coming off a waterfall and and it looks really beautiful? It's God. Because God ordered that to be that way, because order means that only all that can exist because God ordained it to be. So I don't know what your problem is.
I'm just waiting for the tornadoes to come.
I want a Boeing 747 too.
747? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's just Britain doesn't get a lot of tornadoes, so.
We get. I actually last year I had a tornado go through my backyard. Literally my backyard. Now the good news is it was only a E0.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of wind and a couple of trees went down in the park, but nothing in my immediate area was affected. Just lots of wind.
I know, that's pretty
good. It did sound a bit like the roof was wanting to pull off the house, but no worse for the wear. But yeah, tornadoes come through here. We probably have in this neighborhood three scares a year.
Yeah.
So the tornado sirens go off probably about 7 times a year, and a little under half of those are directly in my immediate area.
Yeah. Well, that's what you get for living in the top end of Tornado Alley.
Yeah, that's what I get.
If they'd only just build a couple walls, that's where they should build a couple walls, and it would stop.
Yeah, just imagine.
Imagine if they just built a couple walls in the middle of America, and then there would be much less tornadoes. In that heartland that they say we don't care about. But hey, that's a different topic for a different day. We have literally 3 sentences left to go.
Here we go. Let's see. There is no reason to believe that the universe simply had to be life permitting. Moreover, the data contained here demonstrates that it did not. It is prohibitively unlikely that the universe came to be so well ordered for life by chance alone. On the basis of this argument, the most reasonable thing for a thinking person is to accept the truth of God's existence. There it is. An argument for the truth, to accept the truth of God's existence. Wow. Wow.
It's beautiful stuff. I know, I believe. And, after only 2 chapters, I have become but a gibbering wreck against, the onslaught of, yeah.
So we are about a quarter of the way through.
We're getting good at this. We're getting good and chugging along. The first chapter was 3 parts. This was only 2, although this one was a bit longer. So
we get the normally I would have had to have left 2 hours, 2 hours ago, and
look at the little hint of what's next. Look at it. Look at it. There you go. It's done. And now it goes away.
R starts with Romans 2. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Just remember, folks, Romans 2, actually in context, is telling you the new invisible idol Jesus. Read it for yourself. It'll be in my next video.
Right. We've been going for nearly 4 hours.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play a thing that's what I played at the start, and then
nice.
it's going to end. And you're not going to hear anything more from me or Jimmy.
Perfect. Bowtie bless to you all. I had a wonderful time, as always.
And I shall see some of you tomorrow, and the rest of you next week. Oh, say that and all the things.
Jesus,
man. Oh, yeah.
Hey, Scotty. Jesus, man.
Word up, yo. Word up, all. How's everyone doing out there in the void? All that's done. So, how y'all doing? How's everyone? You might have noticed I have someone with me today. We have Jimmy Tux.
Exotic.
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on, Shaken Fist.
Erotic.
So we can make fun of Braxton Hunter.
We've all made mistakes. I know I have.
Moreover, I've never ever been an atheist, and I'm completely aware this is going to sound smug, even though I don't mean it that way. But the reality is, I think I understand the arguments for and defenses of atheist positions better than most atheists I know.
You know, I'm not a sciencey guy.
12 seconds later.
And I'm probably older than you are. So ease up there, Ace. Everyone's tempted to think they're an expert.
I'm sorry you look smug, and perhaps I come across smug sometimes. I actually think that, and it won't be true of this video perhaps, but I'm thought of as a kind of a friendly non-atheist, like Christian out there.
And so you say, it's asked, it wasn't the leading philosophers and physicists who brushed off the evidence for Christianity. It was the uninformed students. Internet trolls make up the majority of atheist scoffers. All these atheists out there, they're all just trolls. They're all just internet trolls. They don't have any, basis in physics or anything like that to go off of. It's just trolls. Do you like being a troll, Jim?
I don't consider myself a troll. I just consider myself asking for the evidence. That's what I'm asking for. And we'll see in my conclusion that I believe that evidence should be visible from a real God.
And then the second thing is, there is a real desire to who cares what he's saying? Let's peel it back and look for what he's trying to do underneath, because he's definitely a grifter who's looking to do something deceptive underneath the layers. And so we got to forget what he's saying and get to that, which becomes most of what these streams are.
Called mumbo jumbo to make you think along the lines he wants you to think, because he's literally priming you. He even says in his explanation of what you're doing, you're literally using these to prime people. I'd say it's one of the fascinating things about this book. It's very clear in how much.
Yes, exactly right.
He's actually trying to bend your mind as he's talking to you. It's great stuff.
But as you can see, Braxton, in a clip that I'd sent you previously, has plenty of people who believe that the evidence is very clear and I should just accept that. So I'm going to poke that apart.
Well, I've got that clip there for when we get to when it's needed.
Yeah.
I look. Oh, sorry. Let me change. I'm moving my mic a bit. Sorry. I'm going to have to do this occasionally because of my back. So I learned quickly that while the most knowledgeable specialists in the relevant fields are not all necessarily believers, most of them take the evidence seriously and enjoy engaging in honest discussions about it. Do you know what? I find a lot of atheists on YouTube like that as well. But the problem is that Christians are inherently disingenuous, and they think that if they use the same argument at you like 15 times, eventually you're going to like mess up something you say, or you're not going to know one of the points that they bring up specifically. So that means it's God. Do you know what I mean? And you can't really have an honest discussion with these people because they don't want an honest discussion. They want to talk to you under the guise of an honest discussion, so they can lie to you and they can try and bamboozle you with, with the stuff they learn from books like this. This whole book is about teaching people a method and a script to like confuse people into believing what they want. You know what I mean?
Well, I do believe that Braxton is probably sincere about his belief. I don't believe he's purposely attempting to be a grifter. He believes this, and he himself has possibly been deceived and doesn't realize that he is creating and perpetuating the deception that got him deceived in the first place.
I'm not sure though.
That's my perspective from
See,
it.
the thing is
I'm not sure. I'm never sure. Even Kenneth Copeland, who I would put at the number one spot of being the confirmed deceiver, and not the deceived. I would put him as number one, and I'm still not sure with him.
Well, see, like I would have said that. No, I think Braxton's a true believer, but I know he's very snarky. He's very up his own ass. He's got this like he's kind of got like this like Hispanic woman sass air to him. Do you not think? Do you know what I mean?
Explain it to this man, please. First, you do the head, then you do the finger, then you talk through the nose.
I think I know what you mean.
It's like he's got a head wobble. He likes to wobble his head. He likes to look down his nose at you, and he likes to go, You know what I mean? It's like I think he enjoys being snarky too much for me to believe that he's being genuine about how you should argue and stuff like that. And I think some of it's starting to come from reading this book, when he's actually talking about why you should believe these things and why you should, and the reasons he gives. It's like, oh, you've got nothing, and you know you've got nothing, so bluster is all you have. So if you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I have a little clip here because he's like, hey, by the way, why don't you have an open mind? You should have an open mind. You, atheist, you have an open mind. You know what I mean? You like that? I like that sort of thing.
When will I walk away? For me, when I'm so diseased or my brain so deteriorated that I'm no longer myself in my rational mind.
First, you do the head.
Listen to me. We're not going anywhere. And if you came to Christ, partly because God used Trinity Radio.
He likes to wobble his head. He likes to look down his nose at you, and he likes to go,
Or my ministry apart from Trinity Radio, hear me loud and clear. I've said plenty about the ways in which I'm open and my views are falsifiable. But I want everyone who calls himself or herself a committed Christian
then you do the finger
to consider this deeply. I'm not ashamed to tell you that I will always be a Christian.
and you talk through the nose.
What meaning does it have to say, I have bent the knee to the king, if I may go AWOL in the midst of the chaos? I've said plenty about the ways in which I'm open and my views are falsifiable. I have bent the knee, and I will not defect. In our tribe at Trinity, loyalty means quite a bit. And we aren't just loyal to each other. We're loyal to each other because we found a reliable master. We're in the kingdom, and we're proud citizens of it. I belong to Jesus Christ.
He likes to wobble his head. He likes to look down his nose at you. I think he enjoys being snarky too much for me to believe that he's being genuine.
He is my Lord, and I will never surrender. I've said plenty about the ways in which I'm open and my views are falsifiable. He is my Lord, and I will never surrender.
If somewhere within the Bible I were to find a passage that said 2 + 2 = 5, I wouldn't question what I'm reading in the Bible. I would believe it accept it as true, and then do my best to work it out and to understand it.
So that's cool, right?
That is perfect. I think when I read that, I immediately thought of that clip.
Yeah,
And said,
and like this is how
it's a long fly ball. It could be. It is. Holy cow!
Yeah, and this is the heart of how these people are disingenuous.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because these fuckers will say to you with one side of the mouth, "Hey, unbeliever, do what I say, and maybe you might be persuaded for me." And on the other side, they're like, "No, fuck him. It doesn't even says, man, you might be able to falsify it, but it doesn't matter. I'll be a Christian all the fucking way." Right? And that's how these people convince people. You know what I mean? Because
I know what you mean.
they expect every single one of us to give an inch to everything they fucking say. Because once upon a time, everybody had to bend the knee or they'd torture you to death. You know what I mean? So they go, "Hey, I know we used to persecute everyone and we kind of want to do that again, but we're also persecuted. But could you argue the way that we want? Could you have the motions that we want you to have?" Do you know, like, everything about them is trying to make you do what they want because they're so insecure in themselves that they have to have everyone else do as they do. Otherwise, they'll feel out of sorts. You know what I mean? It's fucking ridiculous.
What I want you to notice here is we're going to talk about evolution here. And this guy seems really, really bothered that there's got to be some reason why I don't want to include a discussion about the whole creation versus evolution thing. There's got to be. He even says somewhere, like, it's driving me, something like, I'm not quoting him directly, but it's like, it's driving me crazy that I can't figure out why he doesn't want to do it, because he's got to have some grifting, deceptive thing underneath instead of exactly what I plainly explain about why I'm doing this.
I think he enjoys being snarky too much for me to believe that he's being genuine about how you should argue and stuff like that. And I think some of it's starting to come from reading this book.
So what sort of evidence, if any, would be enough to convince you? Do you know? And since it's often a conversation stopper, let's take experimental reproducibility off the table, since that's not even always necessary for science.
Tell me what that is. It just feels like I'm being dumb and missing something simple, like a little simple connection.
Yeah, see, here he's going on. He's like, there's got to be some reason he doesn't want to talk about, some shifty, insidious reason. He doesn't say that, but that's what he's implying. There's got to be some deceptive reason he's doing this. It's like, seriously? Okay.
So the reason for this is that the argument from design focuses on more than just biological life. The complexity and specificity of created objects of the universe, including the life of the permitting aspects of it, demand the design conclusion. See, maybe this is the bit I was missing, okay? I didn't. Where is it? So the thing is, right, so why is it demand the demand? See, the complexity and specificity of the created objects of the universe, including the life permitting aspects of it, they demand that design conclusion. Because, hey, I'm a Christian, so it must be a Christian thing, right? Such aspects of the created order are somewhat outside the purview of the evolution of biological life on Earth. I like how he's once again muddying the water before he propagates it. The created order, look, it's all created. The order is created. I don't have to explain it because I've already primed you by saying these things 2-3 times before I even get to what the fuck I'm talking about. And it's like, well, but biology isn't chemistry, and chemistry isn't physics, is it? So why would you want to talk about, biological evolution, considering that has physical and fucking like chemical, like as in chemistry, properties? Why would you want to talk about that when you're talking about order?
It became clear to me that.
Sorry, go on.
There needed to be an evangelicalistic training resource that made the classical case for the truth of the Christian message understandable